What up? What up? What up? What up? 25 more minutes, y'all. 25 more minutes. And then we're getting the juicy reveal of Path of Exile 3.27. This music bump. All right, so we've already gotten like massive news already with the assassin rework. Oh, my glasses just fell. They're good. Yeah, so we got a massive change to the assassinacy. I mixed ascendancy and assassin together. Oh boy, I gotta stop taking Tylenol, bro. But we got a rework to the assassin ascendancy. And what I'm familiar with is they pretty much added what they have in ruthless mode, where the assassin, one of the nodes he has in ruthless was all attacks can proc poison, and they added this to the normal mode. So now what that means for the assassin is you can use any skill gem, and it can proc poison just with that ascendancy node alone. That makes the assassin much more versatile than before, for sure. I mean, you could probably do some sort of like elemental build now, you know, spark, arc, anything really, like righteous fire. Now, I don't know if righteous fire, you know, don't quote me on that. I don't think righteous fire would be very strong with that node. I know spark would. Definitely spark would. Anything that does hits and not damage over time. But these things just, they're so hard to clean sometimes. Okay. All right, though. Got about 21 minutes. I really gotta get a new chair, bro. My chair is gonna like break any moment live on stream, bro. That shit's gonna break. I'm gonna bust my ass, and then I'm gonna clip it so I can clip farm it. Oh. What's the new build, y'all? What's the new meta? What's the new meta, y'all? Somebody said cast on crit. Cyclone? Cyclone. Somebody said cyclone cast on crit. Tornado of turbulence. With the assassin? Imagine that. Can you even cast on crit the tornado of turbulence? Isn't there a cooldown with them? I don't think you can. I don't remember actually. Somebody followed me on Kick, and half of their name is called promotion. And on Kick, it takes, you know, when you follow me, you have like a 5-minute timer before you can chat, and I feel like in 5 minutes they're gonna chat and promote something. Hopefully they prove me wrong. Man, I'm excited. The league comes out next month. Next month. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? Next week, bro. Next Friday, I think. Let me see. What day is the 31st? Yeah, it's Friday. Next Friday comes out around 3 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be playing it for sure, dude. I've already tested out some builds. I'm just waiting to see if they're gonna be changed at all, really. If the class I was using the Templar, and I'm gonna see if it changed at all or not. Frost Nora 09, thank you for the follow on Kick. Welcome in. Appreciate you joining in. But yeah, the Templar, man, if they do change the Templar, I hope it's for the better and not, as long as they don't touch Battle Mage. Oh my god, if they touch Battle Mage, if they remove Battle Mage somehow or something, that would suck, dude. That would suck. That would be so bad. They made it better. Ooh, that would be so good if they made it better. If they just made it better, that would be cool. But other than that, I mean, let me look at the POB real quick. Sorry, I cannot pull this up on the computer because my computer could not do it at the same time as the stream, unfortunately. All right, let me actually load up my guy real quick. So I made a Inquisitor last week, leveled them up to like level 75. Did the campaign, got some things rolling, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can work with this. Since I play on console, it was hard to actually find a certain skill gem on trade because, you know, the league's dead. So I tried to run lab, and I joke you not, I probably ran lab at least 25 times, and I could not get the skill gem I needed, which is very sad. But it is what it is. So hopefully I could get it this league. And they're adding async trading, which is going to be a huge quality of life, especially on console, because console league life it lasts only for about a month, like 3 to 4 weeks tops, and then it starts to die quick. People stop playing overall. But what async trading, like the people who stop playing, if they have their stuff in, you know, their shops, we can freaking buy stuff still, even if they're like a bit more expensive. It still will be available to buy. That would be good, man. Async is such a huge quality of life. Like, that's so exciting. You can actually play the game on console for a longer period of time, even when the league's dead, because you can still buy stuff, bro. It's gonna be such a huge W. So Assassin rework. I wonder if any other Ascendancy is gonna be reworked. People don't really play the Scion. I haven't seen a phase where people played the Scion for the majority of the league. I wonder if they're gonna touch up on that, make it a bit more viable or appealing to most people. Seems like the Scion is very versatile to go any path it wants to, but I'm not very familiar with it. So people are saying it's a breach. What up, Ito? Did you get some sleep, man? How are you feeling? People are saying it's a breach league, so I've always liked breach. It's gonna be a fun league if it implements a lot of freaking breach monsters in the maps. Yeah, I got some sleep. That's good, bro. Today, well, apparently I had COVID, so I got some new meds. Dang, bro. Sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully the new meds can help you out, bro. Today we're just watching a Path of Exile reveal, so you're welcome to lurk. I need a new footrest. All right, let me see. Let me check Amazon real quick. Reveals are always exciting, in my opinion, dude. They're always exciting, bro. They're always exciting. Huh. I'm looking for a footrest to put under my desk. Because the one I have right now, it's like literally cracked in half and it's holding for dear life. This thing is $40. Sheesh. I was looking at PCs yesterday. Because Starforge has a sale, but man, those things are freaking expensive, man. Those things are expensive. I'm a small creator, bro. I'm not a millionaire. Things are expensive. The one I was looking at was like 1800. It was a good solid one for like multi-work things. Editing, streaming, all the good stuff, playing. I don't know how I feel about this. All right. Oh boy. I think the hardest thing about making videos, the hardest thing about streaming and making videos is the sound quality. Like this mic that I'm talking into, I still think it's not perfect. It's good, but it's not perfect. And adjusting the sound was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Ever. So I don't even know, bro. Like, I think that's one of the hardest things ever to do. Setting a perfect sound mic. Chops. Why are all these garbage, dude? What the? Oh man. What if I type in leg rest? Yo, that is not that breaking. That's not bad at all, dude. I'm lurking though, cause gotta fix my league losing streak, bro. I got you. Good luck. This joint looks absolutely uncomfortable as hell. That joint sucks. And, you know, Path of Exile pulling out the music. This music reminds me of like getting ready to defend Rohan. Can I look at some photos? Yeah, 8 minutes. Hi, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Grinding Gear Games. How does he say it? Hi, I'm Jonathan. Hi, I'm Jonathan. Bro, how does he say it, bro? He always says it. Hi, I'm Jonathan from Grinding Gear Games. And today, we're excited to show you Path of Exile 3.27. Keepers of the Flame update. It's gonna be something like that. You're from Target. Is you on sale? Nah, I like the Best Buy one first. More. Oh shit, here it is. I'm actually about to buy this. It's a footrest. Oh my god, this one looks good. Shit, bro, I'm about to buy this. Watch them buff my new playthrough. Great build. Ah? Maybe, man. I mean, with the assassin change, it's already buffed. I hope they stick on that side of the passive tree, because I'm on the opposite side, and everyone's gonna be playing like the new stuff, so no one's gonna be making videos of my stuff. That way I could get more traction. Should I do lightning tendrils crit poison build? Hey man, That one ascendancy makes all hits poison. So you technically could. I was just saying earlier, people are gonna probably do like spark builds with the assassin because spark is gonna be poisoning things. Or even like lightning strike. Back in the day, lightning strike was the meta of Path of Exile 1. Shit, I could probably do some with Energy Blade. But I'm gonna stick to what I was practicing. I don't want to mess things up. Oh, man. We got 4 minutes. 4 minito. 4. Hi, I'm Jonathan from Grinding Gear Games. That's literally music to my ears when I hear that. Yeah, I may need to change something depending on what's announced. Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. I need to see the patch notes because sometimes, yo, Adam, welcome in, bro. I'm happy you could join, bro. That's lit. But I was saying, I need to see if they're gonna remove. Sometimes they remove some uniques, and I need to see if they remove any of the uniques I'm gonna be using. Man, that would suck. That would suck. I'm using like, I need to use 3 uniques for my build. They're like mandatory to get. Especially a certain ring. And I hope they keep them in the game. Two more minutes, baby. Anything about my playthrough of Scion, I didn't even really count on it, so base is good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you were cooking in the campaign. Beginning is such a big show, but once I get supports, it's all good. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, in the beginning, I really didn't know what to do with my guy until Act 3. So I was just like rolling around with like Molten Blast. I think it was Molten Blast, yeah. All right, y'all, 30 seconds. Hey, I'm Jonathan. And hey, I'm Jonathan from Grinding Gear Games. And today, that's what he's gonna start with. Hey, Jonathan here from Grinding Gear Games. Yo, let's go.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games.
Damn it, bro, I was close. I forgot his last
Today we're going to show you
name.
an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame, which is coming out 1 week from now on October the 31st. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream.
Yo,
so you'll be able
Twitch
to claim
drops.
your hive-born crawler pet by following the instructions below.
Don't even know if I have
Without
that
further
enabled.
ado, let's roll the trailer for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame.
Okay. Yo, sub so you can get a freaking crawler.
The Keepers of the Flame.
Okay. Trailer.
Serve the will of the dreamer. His instructions whispered from beyond the wall of sleep. But now, the Hiveborn are here, on Rayclast, and they seek to poison our world.
Yo, the music popping.
We must close their breaches, destroy their hives, slay their breach lords.
Yo, this is insane. I'm definitely dying here. Okay, Cyclone, OP. They're showing Cyclone again. Cyclone buff, maybe?
And by his gifts, the dreamer provides. They brought this war to our world.
It's like a whispering tree.
But we shall end it, whatever it takes.
Keepers of the Flame. Yeah, it's like a reward tree. Yo, what is this? New skills and supports. Oh my god. What? Bro, was that like kind of like altered ascendancies? I'm like stunned, bro. Like I'm stunned right now. I have no idea what to say.
As you can see, this expansion is a true sequel to the Breach League, first introduced to the game in 2016. We felt like it was time to progress the story of Breach, bringing with it a slew of new updates to the base game. In today's stream, we'll take you on a deep dive into Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame, beginning with the League mechanic, covering all the fearsome challenges it presents, and the new twisted ways you'll be able to empower your character.
Oh my god, new skills,
After that, we'll dive
bro.
into the new ascendancy options possible with
New
bloodline classes.
ascendancies.
Then we'll cover the much anticipated and synchronous trade system coming to Path of Exile 1. Afterwards, move into the
And new ascendancies.
how to access them, and some new drops worthy of the added difficulty.
Ah,
Finally, we'll cover some notable quality of life improvements before moving on to our supporter packs and challenge rewards. We'll then have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile's game directors Mark and myself your questions from Twitch chat. And after the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 a.m.
right after
time,
live
or 3
stream,
p.m.
full
Pacific.
patch notes.
So let's get started. I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
Hi.
My boy
I'm
Mark with the Adidas
game
shoes,
director
man.
of
He
Path of
always
Exile.
has Adidas Ultra
Breach
Boost
is a
on.
beloved league that has
Telling
had
you right
iconic
now.
history in PoE. We intend to honor that legacy with our first ever sequel league, Keepers of the Flame. This develops every aspect of Breach, adding new layers to discover, richer lore, scarier bosses, and entirely new mechanics. That said, this is still Breach, so you will still be opening breaches and slaying hordes of otherworldly monsters.
Bet. That's the best part about Breach.
Have found the means to stabilize the connection between their realm and Rayclast. Now, with their grip tightening, we learn their true goal in our world: conquest. The threat they pose has now escalated to home soil.
I want a Breach girlfriend,
On the
dude.
coast in Act 1, you'll encounter Aelith, the founder of the Keepers of the Flame. This is a monastic order sworn to defend Rayclast from the Breach Lords. The exit to the Mudflats has been barricaded by Hiveborn, Breach monsters that are working to claim every inch of Rayclast. Aelith can grant you a small spark of the power of the Flame, allowing you to blast away their barricade and move onwards.
What the heck is going on, bro?
Once you enter the Mudflats, you'll find it infested with Breach monsters. They appear to be constructing a kind of hive, creating strange shapes and structures that absolutely don't belong. Time to purge them with fire. Aelith needs you to protect her as she empowers the flame to do so.
Wave 1 of
Hold
5.
off the assault long enough, and she'll be able to demolish the hive with cleansing flame.
Oh my god, dude.
In other areas, the gap between worlds is
I
strange.
gotta stop smiling.
Here, you'll find a more familiar encounter with a new twist. A massive breach hand sunders the space between dimensions, and touching it will open an unstable breach, causing monsters to flood in. If you can slaughter them quickly
Yo, he's
enough,
using one of
you
my
can
builds.
stabilize the breach.
If you catch my build, it's
This
a Witch
brazen
Oculus
action
build.
can draw the
Blade
attention
Vortex.
of Rune,
Link in the
Marshal
description
of
below.
Zesht, who will do everything it can to stop you. Defeating this boss will permanently seal the breach, severing another connection between the Breachlord's world and Rayclast. These stabilized breaches are similar to what a breach once was, but with upgraded monsters, a success condition to shoot for, UI tracking to keep the player informed of their progress through the encounter.
Dude, this is insane
and
already,
satisfying
bro.
feedback when you do manage to complete the encounter.
It literally just started.
We've taken all the lessons we've learned since the release of Breach 9 years ago and improved upon it in every way we can.
Bro, they've been
However,
cooking this for 9
much
years.
of the joy of Breach came from its simplicity. While we want to modernize the mechanic, we don't want to undermine the core
He has
experience.
link skills right here.
You're still mostly just slaughtering hordes of enemies.
Never used
in a
link
circle.
skills before.
Finally, in endgame areas you might run into breach constructions that have been left unopposed for too long and have grown into their full twisted glory. Breach hives. Towering flesh-crafted cities in the sky. These are the visions of the Breach
here we
Lords
go.
made real in Rayclast, teeming with breach monsters. You must raid and destroy these cities with the help of Aelith and her flame.
Yo, there's like, oh my god, dude. There's like
In
breach
some
hives.
of these hives, you may even encounter some of the Breach Lords themselves, who will not be happy you're intruding on their planned conquest.
This is crazy, bro.
Now,
This is actually
let's
fucking
talk
crazy.
loot. Of course, being an exile is hard work, and you're
Bro, I feel like
unlikely
I'm
to help entirely
gonna
out of
die the
goodness of your
most in
heart.
this league that I've ever died in.
Fortunately, Aelith has power and rewards aplenty, born of the Breach Realm itself, to offer you for your assistance. Help her, and she'll bring you to the Monastery of the Keepers, the hallowed halls of her order. Here, you'll find the Genesis Tree, the growing heart of the Keeper's power. On interacting with it, you'll find that this tree
Oh my
has
god.
a tree. That's right. It couldn't be Path of Exile unless the tree also had a tree. More importantly, the Genesis tree is an engine
That was
of
such a
unholy
good joke.
creation, and a profitable one. As you complete breach encounters and work more with Aelith, you'll be able to grow the Genesis tree larger and larger, sprouting additional limbs.
Guys, we're hooked.
Each of these limbs, you'll notice, has their own inventories.
I literally just started classes
These can
too.
be used for an unusual method of crafting new items. With this system, you'll be able to grow currency, uniques, equipment, and a new kind of otherworldly item, grafts. Grafts are breach hands grown directly from the Genesis tree.
Look, it's like
Born of
literally
the same
out.
flesh
her
and
body.
sinew as the invading monsters. These fuse directly to your body in a completely safe process. Don't worry about it. With grafts, you can harness the power of the breach. Some provide passive benefits like this, or this, but they can also grant a wide selection of powerful skills. These graft skills can provide a flexible way to fill gaps in your build.
Dude, this guy's
offering
so.
everything from
He's just
damage
walking around. Everything's
to potent
dying.
defensive buffs and crowd control.
Look at those hands.
For example, the battering all graft will call massive arms to erupt from
Oh
the
my
earth,
god, dude.
stunning all those they hit. For some additional pack clearing power, you could consider the Squalling Tool Graft. When commanded, this graft will cast Dance in the White, creating a deadly ice tornado which aggressively seeks enemies and fires off bursts of ricocheting projectiles when you critically strike with skills.
Critically strike with
For
skills.
some further utility and
That's
a useful
you.
buff,
That's you, Dismal.
try out the Storming Ash Graft. This can be commanded to call down a ring of bolts from the sky that will leave behind the new radiant ground. Radiant Ground grants a potent damage buff to allies standing within it.
Oh my god,
and
bro.
makes
What
their
is
hit
even
damage
going
lower.
on in this clip?
If
Bro,
you're simply after raw damage, look no further than the Erupting Zothgraft,
it has a
which
huge
causes
cooldown
massive
time,
eruptions
though.
of fire where you
35
command,
seconds.
which then re-erupt when you Warcry. There are a total of 16 different graft types you can grow, each with their own skill. You can even unlock a second graft slot as you progress through Aelith's questline, so feel free to mix and match Flesh Zone horrors to your heart's content.
Bro,
Now,
I want to
grafts
play this
aren't just
shit
here to
right
make you
now,
stronger.
dude.
They are also your means of feeding the Genesis tree, which needs constant supplies of graft blood to grow anything useful. You can do this by defeating breach monsters, which will leave behind blood that your graft will automatically collect. When you feed this blood to the tree, your allocated passives will be put to work. This section of the Genesis
I'm about
tree
to
can
copy
be
his
used
tree.
to grow new grafts for you, which the Genesis tree will then birth in a gruesome display.
What the heck is
Basic
that?
passives on the tree might increase item rarity of birthed grafts, or the chance to birth additional grafts. These passives can target specific types of grafts, and this passive causes grafts to be birthed with a random amount of quality. Quality improves the amount of blood that can be stored by your grafts. This
Oh my
section of
God,
the
dude.
Genesis tree births currency items. Basic passives can result in more or better currency. Allocate this passive to sometimes cause a shower of currency to burst forth from the flesh of the tree. Yeah, it's a bit gross, but working with the organic matter of a bunch of dead otherworldly creatures was never going to be a clean affair. Grafts themselves are born of a different world, so are unmodifiable by most currencies. However, with this passive, the Genesis tree can occasionally grow fleshy mockeries of currency orbs. These function like augmentation orbs, regal orbs, or exalted orbs, but they work on your grafts instead of normal gear.
Dude, this is
It's
crazy,
graft
man.
crafting. Allocating this passive can result in
And They,
foulborn
they haven't even
currencies.
talked about the new skill
This
gems.
foulborn exalted orb, for instance, behaves as a normal exalted orb, except it guarantees a higher tier modifier. By locking out a large portion of the lower rolls, a normal exalted orb would be able to hit.
These are some great gloves. What the
The
heck?
largest section of the Genesis tree is used to grow rare equipment items. For these, you have a lot of agency to influence the type and modifiers on your grown item. For example, you can specifically target boots with a dexterity requirement, with an increased chance for speed modifiers, and reduced chance for cold modifiers.
What the heck?
Or maybe you'd prefer to look for a two-handed axe with increased chance for physical modifiers. This section of the tree is for growing unique items. Similar to the
Yo,
equipment
mage blood?
section, there
I'm
are
gonna grow
passives
a
that let
mage
you
blood.
target growing specific types of uniques or rarer uniques. The process of growth is not always a perfect one, however, and can result in some defects.
Defects.
This passive can result in birthed uniques becoming foulborn, which mutates one of the existing modifiers on the item into a new one, resulting in some interesting new ways to use that unique. For example, this foulborn quill rain no longer has increased projectile speed, but instead has increased area of effect.
What?
Another foulborn quill rain could replace the mana gained on hit with the
Oh
much
my
more
God,
powerful
dude.
modifier. where
This is the
insufficient
league I get
mana
a mage
doesn't
blood,
prevent
but
your
it's
bow
bricked.
attacks. Here are some other examples.
Elemental overload. Chaos resistance
This passive even
63%.
gives a rare chance for foulborn uniques to have multiple different modifiers mutated. I'm sure you'll come up with some extremely powerful uses for these. We'll leave it up to you to discover what this mysterious part of the Genesis tree can grow.
Of course they will.
So, ultimately, you'll be slaying
I
masses
wonder
of
what
breach
this bar
monsters,
is on the bottom. Did they
harvesting
explain
blood with
that
the aid of your
bar? I guess
grafts,
that's like,
feeding that to the Genesis tree, growing
oh,
some
when it hits the
items
line and
better
closes? Oh,
grafts,
okay,
and
that
back
makes
again
sense.
to the slaughter. As with all our challenge leagues,
That looks
this league
cool.
will come with a set of 40 challenges to pursue, and
40
completing them
challenges.
will award you with the Keeper of the Flame armor set, allowing you to truly embrace becoming a monk and worshipping the Dreamer. Now, Graph skills won't be the only new tools to
Oh
play
boy.
with. In 3.27,
Here we go.
we're also adding a collection of new skill and support gems.
Oh
Let's
my
go over them now.
God. They
Kinetic
literally
Rain
just
is
started.
a new wand attack, which covers the ground in unstable kinetic energy. These hazards collapse at the slightest
They've already
touch,
sold me with this.
releasing their energies into any unfortunate soul who happens to be standing on them. With enough projectiles and area of effect, an enterprising exile could carpet the world in dangerous kinetic force. Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic power, causing allied projectiles to ricochet towards targets automatically. Drop one behind
But
the
these are all
boss
kinetic
and
power,
redirect the
so
bolts
it's
of
gonna
your
be
arms.
based on your
I'm
weapon.
sure you'll find ways to break this one. Conflagration is a new bow attack, which rains down fiery bolts from above.
So cool,
that
yeah,
stick
dude.
into the
These,
ground
they're
and
already
pulse
so
as you
cool.
approach. Once you get close enough, these bolts detonate, causing ravaging ignites.
Yo, this is like your
These
build,
bolts
Adam,
chain
from
react,
Path of Exile
allowing
2.
you to create fields of
You
incendiary
shoot
destruction.
fire arrows down, and you walk past the enemies, they explode.
Thunderstorm is a bow attack, which creates a whirling storm of wind and
Yo,
lightning where it lands.
this is kind of like your build again,
While you're
Adam.
within the storm,
know
it
what
will
you-
rapidly grow.
You're doing right now
until it
in
becomes
Path of
violently
Exile 2.
thunderous with lightning-infused clouds.
There's tornadoes
At
everywhere.
this point, leaving the storm will cause it to detonate, dealing damage to everything within and releasing a flurry of tornadoes in all directions. Attacking with kinetic fusillade will create hovering orbs of energy. These linger for a few
Fusillade,
moments
that- oh,
above
they're
you
bringing that
before
from,
zipping off to nearby targets, chaining between
PoE
them,
2.
then detonating.
This one kind of looks weak.
Living lightning support will bring to life living sparks of energy. Elemental minions that zap through packs of enemies with speed
Yo,
and
this is
ease.
another one from PoE
Use these
2.
alongside your spellcasting to augment your pack clearing abilities, or find whatever means possible to cover the world in
I feel
living
like they're
sparks of
adding
ruin.
skills from PoE 2 so people can
Wind
test
burst
them in
support
here,
unleashes
and then they can
chaotic
implement
tornadoes as
it
you
in
attack,
Path of Exile 2.
which ricochet around wildly and quickly. These deal moderate damage as they travel, but will explode into a highly damaging burst when they expire. So it's a choice between scaling their duration up to get better coverage, or down to access the burst more quickly. Kinetic Instability is a support gem to go along with the new wand attacks that causes enemies slain
That
to
looks
leave
cool,
behind
bro.
those same orbs of shimmering energy that Kinetic Rain creates.
That looks so cool.
One might ponder just how many orbs you can create if you were to use both.
So much kinetic. Yeah, dude. I'm
In
kind of jealous.
3.27, exiles will be able to absorb the power of some of the bosses they defeat. These take the form of new Ascendancy class options called Bloodlines.
Here we go. Here we go. This is the
Bloodline
biggest
classes
thing.
are a new means of character customization in the endgame. They are secondary Ascendancy classes that are unlocked by defeating specific endgame bosses. They are allocated with your normal Ascendancy points, and you'll have to choose how many of your points go into the original Ascendancy and how many into your Bloodline class.
Great. Oh my god,
This
that's
means
so
there is
good.
a nigh limitless ability to mix and match here.
That's
As
so
you could
good.
choose
I
to
could
invest just a
still
couple
do
points into your
Energy
bloodline,
Blade.
or max it out. And you could take any bloodline with any base Ascendancy class that you
Thank
see
you,
fit.
goodness. Yes.
To
Yes, you
unlock your
can mix
bloodline,
them.
Hunt
That's
down
good.
the endgame
Thank
boss
goodness.
whose power you desire and defeat them.
Fuck yeah,
Or
dude.
have a friend help and claim the power for your own.
Fuck yeah, bro.
There are
Yes,
10 bloodline
dude.
classes to discover.
All I
Bosses
need
who
is
offer this
one
power are
Ascendancy
typically
point
associated
for
with
Energy
past
Blade.
leagues, giving additional reasons to engage
Yo.
with that league content.
Hey, I'm about to get demonetized for
Let's
that.
run over a few examples. The Chaos Bloodline will be offered to you by the Trial Master, if you manage to succeed his final challenge.
Trial Master.
With his blessing,
Man, I
you can
hate this
greatly
guy,
augment your
dude.
Val skills in different ways. Priest of Yalmak lets you use
Okay, here
Val
we go.
skills much more often.
Val
While Priest
skills.
of Kopek makes it harder to build up Val skills, but makes them far more powerful. Or take Corruption's Embrace, which grants more Val Keystone powers the more corrupted items you have equipped.
I don't think I'm gonna do
Ashabi
this one, bro.
bloodline
I
can
don't
be
use
gained
Val
by,
skills, bro.
you guessed
I use
it,
Val skills
defeating
once and
Ashabi. Her abilities are drawn
Never
from the
again.
3 types of life force that manifest within as Marian spirits. The Wild Bear rewards you with adrenaline for generating rage.
rage, huh?
The Vivid Cat gives your elusive buffs a chance to refresh, as well as making you more stealthy while elusive.
Oh, that's good for the assassin.
The Primal Owl allows your unleashed spells to reoccur many additional times, and get stronger for each time they reoccur.
Dude, that's good. That's actually really That's
the
really
nameless
strong.
bloodline comes from the king in the mists.
Unleash is really strong
Be
already.
forewarned, his menacing power comes at a great cost. With the unseen hand, you can equip a third ring.
+1
But
ring
you have
slot.
to decide if that comes at the expense of having no amulet, no belt, or no flasks.
Wow.
Unlight Silhouette adds a hefty life cost to all your spells, but they deal additional chaos damage based on the amount of life spent. Of course, there is more to come. What powers might you glean from delving deep underneath
Wait,
Rayclass
can't you
to
pair
fight
that
all
up
the
with blood
Crystal
magic?
King? What secrets can you learn from Lycia, Herald of the Scourge, waiting at the
Interesting.
end of the Forbidden Sanctum?
Yo, I might have to farm her
As
if you
can
know what I
imagine,
mean.
There are countless possible
Yo, this is
combinations
the
with the
third
system.
time they're showing
You could be a
Cyclone,
slayer
y'all.
that embraces corruption and vile power, or perhaps you'll play an occultist that doubles down on their dark power by integrating the nameless bloodline. We are excited to see what crazy and interesting builds players come up with. In the most recent Path of Exile 2 expansion, the Third Edict, we introduced a much anticipated feature, fully asynchronous trade.
Thank God.
It was a fantastic success.
Fantastic.
So now we're excited to announce that we'll also be adding this feature into Path of Exile 1.
Amazing.
When
W.
you reach Act 6, you'll be able to find Faustus in Lion
Act
Eyes
6,
Bush.
okay.
Previously, he just operated the currency exchange. Now, he will also act as a steward for your merchants tabs. These are where you can place items for sale, for direct and instant purchase by other players.
Yo, they
even
got
when
the
you're not online.
Starforge in there?
To list an item,
Nah, they're cheating.
simply place it in the tab and select a currency and an amount.
I'll let you know.
We
Once
got the
listed, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it via the trade website or the new in-game market search. To purchase something for yourself, it's as easy as hitting this button, which will teleport you to the seller's hideout, where you can view their merchants tabs, buy the item, and also view the rest of their wares
Nimbus.
in
Bro
case
had a
something else
Nimbus
catches
too,
your
bro.
eye.
It's crazy.
Every purchase costs
Who
a
is this
small
player?
fee of gold, as Faustus takes his cut. To account for this further drain on gold, acquisition and cost balance elsewhere in the game has been adjusted.
Madeline.
Anything you've managed to sell successfully
Hi,
will
Lugo
have your
Sartor.
profits
Hi,
collected
Dr.
here
Lugo.
in a
Yes.
separate tab to claim
Get it
at
right.
your leisure.
Welcome in, though.
To be clear, previous means of trading, such as via pre-existing premium stash tabs and the website, will still function just as before. Merchants tabs and the asynchronous trading that comes with them are an entirely additive feature on top of the already existing methods
Okay,
to trade.
async trading W. Thank goodness they're adding this, bro.
You might find yourself needing the trade system to buy some upgrades.
How are you
because
today?
This update also
Fantastic.
introduces 3
How are
new
you today?
Uber Pinnacle boss fights. These encounters are manifested from the memories of Zana, and in her long torment, they have festered into something truly
Oh,
deadly.
yeah, this guy's gonna kill me at least 16 times before I kill him.
These fights offer an imposing challenge, alongside powerful
This guy,
rewards.
this guy's gonna kill me at least
In
13.
order to gain access, similar to existing Uber Pinnacle fights, you'll need to discover fragments dropped by Tier 17 map bosses.
No.
Each attempt at the new Uber Pinnacle fights will require 5 of these. Let's dig into some of the challenges you'll need to face in these new Uber versions.
You need to farm 17s.
In the original incarnation of Neglect fight, the statues can be used to block the laser beams to hide behind, giving you an opportunity to avoid being shocked, frozen, or killed.
There's actual
When
mechanics.
you run near these statues, they activate and allow you to reposition them. While activated, they will not stop the lasers, meaning you want to position them well, then avoid them.
It's actually
However,
so good. It's
in
been
the
a great
Uber
day.
version
I'm
of this
glad.
fight,
I'm glad for
instead
you.
of being a safe haven,
Hopefully
the
it continues
statues
to
will
get even
refract
better
the
throughout
laser
the week
beams,
and
causing
the
a
weekend.
ruckus of energy to cover the arena. Activating them will prevent the refraction, so unlike the base fight, where you want to position them well and then avoid them, you'll be wanting
he
to
almost died.
constantly keep these statues active. But then, you have to deal with their assault of attacks.
He
While
ain't doing a
fighting
lot
the
of damage.
incarnation of fear,
He's
these
like using
fiery
one of my
orbs
builds.
will slowly
It's like,
clutter
no.
up the arena, locking off portions of it until you bait the boss into detonating them himself.
Kind of
with
looks
his
like
thrown spear.
Doriani's fight.
When Uberified, these orbs are attached by a flaming leash to the boss.
Oh my god, dude,
rotating
that looks
around him
insane.
constantly. More and more will spawn as the fight goes on, making it even more.
So your build bad
imperative
then?
that you
Yeah,
clean them
bro,
up
it's
by
terrible.
cleverly using the boss's abilities against
That's why I'm not a millionaire yet.
Normally in the incarnation of Dread fight, during the bullet hell phase, you have to acquire a red rose, run it to the boss, then collect a blue rose, doing the same, causing it to get heavy stun and interrupting its mechanic.
Relatable. Exactly, bro.
In the Uber version,
I know you know my
you have
pain.
to do the same. But in order to get the blue rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of neglect. And to get the red rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of fear. Good luck.
Damn.
Given the difficulty of these bosses, their rewards should be worth your while. Let's take a look at some. From the Uber incarnation
Playing
of
PoE
neglect
2 after
fight,
the reveal?
we have Bitter
No,
Instinct,
this is
a
Path of Exile
spiky
1,
shield that
and this
turns
comes out next
retaliatory
Friday.
strikes into preemptive ones, making it just a matter of time before the long arm of justice crushes your foes. Alternatively, you might find Festering Resentment, a poisoned blade with an unending supply of toxins built into the hilt. These
We'll never
toxins are
see
put
these
to good
bosses.
use,
Yes, you
causing
will.
every spell you trigger to be capable of poisoning with all damage it deals, enabling a truly crazy trigger-centric poison ruckus. And from the Uber incarnation
They got PoE 2, why up there PoE? That's a long story, bro.
a counterpart to the Dark Monarch, which focuses more heavily on investing into one or a few minions, rather than growing your hordes to massive proportions. Storm Rayclast, with your chosen few at your side, stealing power from your enemies as you go. We've got a number of
Yo,
quality
Dismal,
of life
I'll never
changes to
see
bring
these
to
uniques.
3.27 as well.
Never see
Many
these
of which you may
uniques.
have
I'll
seen
never
already
get the
in
drop.
some of our pre-livestream teasers, but for those who haven't, Heist is a mechanic which has long
Here we go.
frustrated some players who may otherwise have been interested in the rewards it has to offer, but have no desire to grind through the
It'll be
early
one on
progress of
X5.
finding and running low-level
Hell
contracts
yes.
to get
It's
all
gonna be
of the
selling
rogues
for like
to their maximum
500
level.
div.
Well, starting in 3.27,
Not even in the async
Heist
trading.
modes
It's
will
just like
automatically
you have to
begin
message
at
the
maximum
guy.
level, so you can start your dubious criminal career without all the busy work. Points invested into your
Yo,
Atlas
imagine-
passive tree will now
Imagine
be
they just like
refundable with
revealed.
gold.
Oh yeah, guys, we have
Just speak to
crossplay
Carrick
now.
to do so.
That would be
For
insane.
players who love jumping between strategies, there's also an option to instantly refund your entire tree.
Yeah, I think I've
Which
seen
of
all of
course
these
can
clips.
now also be done with your regular passive tree as well. Now you can make
Oh,
all
this
your
guy's a
decisions
Scion.
with no regrets. Well, maybe some regrets. You no longer need to
I don't know if that
purchase
looked a little
bestiary
different or
orbs.
not.
You can now itemize beasts for free directly from your bestiary. From late Act 1, you can now mass identify your items at an NPC in every town, and from Helena in your hideout. This does not require Scrolls of Wisdom at all. While using an Alteration Orb, you can now hold
My
Alt
shirt smells
to
so
swap to
good.
using an Augmentation Orb,
Alright, anyways.
if one is available. Opening a Blight Chest.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
will
bro.
now
Shout out
open all
Scions.
other Blight Chests near it. Rogue's disenchanting
he needs a loot
services
filter.
can now be accessed from towns and
Disenchant.
hideouts.
Why would I need a disenchant stuff?
Kerak missions now have a handy icon to show at a glance what kind of
Probably
mission they are.
to use the reforge
Holding down
bench, I guess.
control and right-clicking on stack decks will now continuously open
What did he
them to
say?
your
Stack what?
inventory, notifying you in chat what the
Sorry.
outcome is. If you still want to open them direct to the ground, to let your loot filter provide a dose of dopamine, you can still do that too by also holding shift. Val orbs can be used on monsters encased in essences, to the same effect that remnants of corruption have.
Is he using shield throw? I think he's using shield throw here.
When multiple skill
What is he
gems are
using
ready to
here?
level
A
at the
shield
same
throw
time,
again.
you'll now be able to click this button to level them all up at once.
Bro, I need somebody to have an energy
Next up,
blade
we're
out
going to
in
be
these
talking
clips.
about our new League supporter packs.
Oh, here we go. This is the best part about the
Today,
whole
we're
stream.
launching two new series of supporter packs. The Champion of Theopolis and the Verdant Magus packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several
That's a
exclusive
cool ass portal.
microtransactions.
Holy crap.
As always, the microtransactions in these
What
packs
the heck
are
is
purely
this?
cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Champion of Theopolis
Well, you
series
guys
of
can tell
supporter
I'm kinda,
packs
like, really
contains
excited.
6 exclusive microtransactions. Manifest a champion's ferocity as
My
the
left eye
Lion's
keeps
Might
twitching,
unique
bro. I don't
finisher
know what's
effect
going on.
rips your enemies to shreds.
I might have to start wearing an eye patch
Open the
on
Champion
stream.
of Theopolis portal to end your crusade through maps in the style expected of a true victor of the arena.
Or maybe I should stop drinking caffeine.
Defeat your enemies like a true gladiator, wearing the Grand Champion of
we're not
Theopolis
stopping.
armor set. The armor
Dr.
awarded only
Pirate
to the
Lugo.
most elite
Hell
warriors
yeah.
of the Grand Arena. Take charge of the situation and storm into combat with the flaming
Dr.
Minotaur's
Pirate
Quicksilver
Vampire
Flask
Lugo.
effect.
Dude, what a freaking
The
Halloween
champion's
costume that
podium
would
map
be, huh?
device rises up to honor the glory you've achieved as you activate it.
The scariest part would be the
Ascend
Lugo part.
stairs and stand atop the platform as you enter your maps. Each flame surrounding the platform represents a remaining
Dr.
use on your
Vampire
portal.
Lugo. Oh, that sounds cool.
The burden-back billy goat carries all the supplies
Oh,
necessary.
I need to
for a
buy that
campsite
goat, dude. Look
as
at
he
it.
travels
It's
behind
cute.
you in battle.
Is that Messi?
When placed in a hideout, instead of roaming around like your other pets, their supplies are deployed,
How
creating
cute.
a small camp where you
Now
can
that's
access
heat.
your stash
Hell yeah.
and providing a place to take a
If I ever
load
change
off
my
while you
YouTube name,
rest
that's
next
gonna
to
be
the
my
campfire.
YouTube name.
The Verdant Magus series contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Having Faustus sell your items on your behalf is great and all, but sometimes you just want to feel a little bit more shady.
The Black
about your
Alley
dealings.
Trader hideout
The
decoration.
Back Alley Trader hideout decoration is more
That's so
secretive with your
funny.
trades, creating distance between you and your customers.
Note that until 3.27
Yeah, look at that.
is
That's so
released,
cool.
This Back Alley Trader will only serve as your currency exchange. Once it's out, it will be updated to have the new managed shop option to also facilitate
That's
your
so
trades.
funny, bro.
The Verdant Wayfinder pet is a loyal companion to any Master Magus.
Damn, bro. I'm gonna spend so much
As you
money on
approach
this.
waypoints, it envelops them with its vines.
Guys, if
guiding
you're
you
catching this
throughout
as a YouTube
Raycross.
bot, please subscribe. Become a member so I could buy some
Control Earth and
cosmetics,
nature
please.
itself, as the great
Thank you.
Verdant Magus armor set envelops you in the ancient power now lost to time. There's also a matching back attachment included. Remnants of the forest ripple out from within you with the Verdant Magus level up effect equipped, restoring life to the corrupted land. Call on an ancient golem to use their power to create a safe passage for you to retreat through with the Arcane Golem portal.
Dude, they're wilding out,
As
bro.
a Supreme Verdant Magus, you can travel to your Arcane Isle hideout. A cluster of islands held together by ancient magic passed down between elite mages. Stand atop your tower and relish the great heights you've reached above those who
Give
have
me
not
that
harnessed
Reach
the arcane.
Girlfriend MTX.
These
Nah, bro.
packs are now available for purchase
don't need that,
on
man,
both
trust me.
PC and console, and will remain so during Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame. Additionally,
I'd rather
any
take
microtransactions from these supporter packs
a
will
mirror
be made available for use in Path
than
of
one of
Exile
those.
2. Meanwhile, the Crypt Keeper and Frisian Magistrate packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Keepers of the Flame League, so now's your last chance to purchase them. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
W
We're
reveal.
just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
I'm gonna
Afterwards,
stay for the
we'll post
Q&A if
full
you
patch
guys
notes
want to
for
stick
Path
around
of
too.
Exile, Keepers of the Flame, at 11 a.m. New Zealand time, 3 p.m. Pacific.
3
With
p.m.
release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to holding off the Breachlord's conquest, crafting gruesome grafts, planning dozens of Bloodline-empowered builds, and filling out our trees tree. We hope you all join us.
Wait, what time did he say it releases? Did he say 3 p.m. Pacific? What is that Eastern time? Isn't that like freaking like 7 p.m. Eastern?
G'day Exiles and welcome to
Shit.
the post-reveal discussion and Q&A
6 p.m.
with Jonathan and Mark.
Damn, bro.
Lead guys.
Maybe
who
I
make
could quickly
games.
go
That's what
trick-or-treating.
we discussed as the titles.
Yeah,
That's the
official title. Yeah.
Excellent. I
I'll be
like it,
dressed
it's
up
good.
as my
We're talking
Path of
about how
Exile
to inflate the
character.
titles, in the lead up to this. 327 Keepers of the Flame.
Yo,
the
this man
reveal.
Mark
We just had,
always
was,
has some
I think,
fly
quite a
Adidas
banger,
shoes
but,
on.
I've been even more impressed with what I've been playing here in the office with some of that, so we'll get into that in a moment. But
All
I'm
right,
curious, this is
let's
kind of
see
like
what
a
they got to
special kind
say.
of reveal day for PoE 1 fans, as I think it marks.
Look at him with his little green laces.
For us, you
got a little dirt on him. That's okay though. He's been busy
for the games. Two twos. And
guys, I got some Skittles gummies. Anyone want some?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly hard. I'll tell you that, right? Like, it can be pretty brutal on some of the stuff when it's like, every 2 months you got a deadline. But
you guys got it,
we
right?
have to do it, right? Like, I mean, that was always the intention, to get, the regular schedule. It's super important. So we have to make it happen. We have to make sure that is something that we can do going forward. But yeah, I would like. I'm honestly, I'm so happy that we managed to to get everything back, and I think it helps a lot.
I think like things feel a lot less like crazy here this visit for me, like, and things seem a bit more of a finished state as well from what I've been.
Bro, this guy's always doing the Q&A.
Sort of getting that production process
He's a legend.
making sure that everything's going well. Like, we're hiring producers
Ziggy,
at the
I think
moment,
his name
by
is.
the way, in case anyone's out there is like looking for as a production job.
He did the races too.
It's something that we're really concentrating on, making sure that because when you've got a schedule like this, when it's this tight, you have to be really, really careful, because like,
once the patch notes drop,
the hardest things that we didn't expect, trying to make sure that we get the schedule this short, is you start to become really vulnerable to just like random things, like this person gets sick or like something like that, and it's like suddenly it's like a real challenge.
At least you can still pick your ascendancy,
but yeah, I mean,
but you can on top of your ascendancy put the new ones, right? And maybe add like 1 or 2 skills from the new ones that you unlock, so you can still run your ascendancy, but have maybe 1 point into the extra one,
but again, it's why more,
which is great, because my Spellblade Energy Blade build is still gonna work.
We made it to 326
Thank
and now
goodness,
327,
because I spent so much time on it.
give or take. One was you could argue one's an anomaly, 2 is a pattern. So,
but we still have to see this patch notes, bro. Maybe they nerfed my main fucking skill, dude. I would have been.
We'll work out the kinks.
I would be so mad, dude. I would be so mad
to 6 releases a year.
I would have an actual crash out.
Yeah, I remember thinking when you guys were doing 4 releases a year that was crazy. So 6 is pretty wild, but it seems to be happening. So fingers crossed.
Texted me. Somebody texted me.
Is the contingency just that like occasionally?
Oh, somebody remembered I'm alive.
I don't want to. I really want to be real strict about it. Like,
we said we'd stick to the time and adapt the content around the time. Like consistency is key. So hopefully we can keep doing that. That's still our current philosophy and plan. So yeah.
I think you were telling me once before, Jonathan, that when you have that for a while, it kind of helps everyone get an idea of like scoping a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it helps with everything, right? It helps with the players just feeling the consistency. It helps with like developers. Like it's just overall like a way better state to be in.
So, Breach 2, aka Keepers of the Flame. It's the first real direct sequel league in PoE. Now, I know we're kind of sequeling with stuff in PoE 2. There's like definitely follow-ups there, but this is the actual first true sequel league, and it seems like people are pretty keen on the idea. I think the reception's been pretty good
so this comes out next Friday at 6, bro. What are your guys' thoughts on bro, what am I supposed to do?
Anti-sequel
until then,
because I know people kind of.
Oh my god, dude!
I would say personally,
I'm gonna wake up Friday morning.
You're entering a dangerous territory, because people who didn't like the original could then now be like, "Oh, I'm disappointed because like as soon as they hear that it's a sequel to something they didn't like, they're like, it's not."
6 p.m.
You could just
bro.
be
That means I'm not sleeping
right away. Now, Breach
I'm literally not gonna sleep all Friday night.
But effectively, in order to make a sequel something, I think you really have to be doing something that had to be a real banger back when you did it, so that people actually are definitely on board from the beginning. In general, I'd say we prefer to do stuff that's like new, but I think this one was a good fit. It was a good example of something to do, and people are liking it. So
it's I mean, as Jonathan said, yes, like some leagues are more divisive than others. Some have more kind of X factor out there gameplay, with the whole Blight Tower defense, and some of them are more maps and a bit more crazy. And immediately you do turn off some people, and we know that going in. When we make these, we try and make it something good for everyone, but Breach had that, just like you're just slaying hordes of monsters. You're just killing. It's the classic. We talk about reinventing the wheel. Here we talk about not reinventing the killing monsters in circles. And it has that. And by the way, that is a massive thing when doing
they're
the
just
sequel,
like,
we must keep the
joking around right now. I need the details, bro.
The last thing I want to do is, and this is another risk of a sequel, is take something that people love and then just ruin it. So we really focused on the weaknesses of what Breach
these
had,
Skittles gummies, y'all, I'm just gonna be honest,
9
man,
years
these
ago,
are so
almost
good.
to date, I think it was. I think it was
that.
December.
Yo, Skittles, sponsor
December
me.
9 years ago, so we're almost there. Yeah, just if you want to feel a bit old for a moment there.
My bad.
To be honest,
I
don't think we can.
You know, and I
It's
actually
hard to
still
find
remember working on it. It does not feel
sour
like it was that long
Skittles in
ago.
stores now.
I made those 5, the 5 Breach Lords back when, and put together all the monsters and all that interesting stuff back then. And I was like, what was I doing? Like we took the player characters, put some micros on them, and dunked them.
Madeline, are you still here?
You know?
I heard that
So
Marvel Rivals is getting a little event.
Which, by
Are
the way,
you going to
we've
be playing
codenamed
that?
the prequel, which is obviously a given. But
Important.
we've coming with like 9 years of
Nerd
lessons
Clusters,
learned,
where's that?
including,
Nerd Clusters are
with
really good.
All the lessons learned from PoE 2 as
They're
well,
actually
and
really
then coming
good.
back and being
I'm gonna
like,
have
what
to
can we-
restock
what
on
do we know
snacks
now
for
that we didn't know back then. And it's like, okay,
the release
let's
of this
not
game.
sabotage the gameplay,
Yes,
the killing of monsters.
I was thinking about reinstalling Marvels
and let's focus on the
because I'm gonna have
weaknesses,
some
and so then
time
we looked at,
before
okay, well,
this game
nowadays,
releases
if we
to
were to do
play
a
some
league, it
Marvel
generally
Rivals.
comes with some character power.
But I'm gonna be
you've got some
rusty as
crafting
shit, so you have to
system,
carry me, alright?
There's generally a meta system, and then that's where you get like the grafts, the Genesis tree.
You're gonna
and all
have
that
to be
stuff
my
come
bodyguard in
Again,
Marvels.
focusing on that, less of like focusing on the combat mechanic this time around, because we kind of knew that was a success.
Yeah.
You'll find that it might be less trivial with some of the other contents that's a little bit more like crazy with respect to combat. But we'll see.
I'm definitely eager to dive into like basically all of the things you mentioned there. But out of interest, what's like a league mechanic or a expansion that you either would or wouldn't want to sequel at some point? Like, what would be a bad example? Is maybe interesting.
Well, I think the one that you said there with the tower defense stuff, it's just like that would be very divisive, right? Immediately, if we said doing a sequel and PoE wanted that, there'd be immediately a bunch of people would be like, yeah,
I like Black.
I know.
Oh my
I think
god,
both
dude!
ends of this. I think
I need this
most
game to be
passionate people
released
wanting it,
right?
and
now.
you'll get the most
I
people
can't
that
wait
hate it on
until
the other
next
side.
Friday.
Right.
What the heck?
For sure.
Yeah.
That being
This
said,
is
like
insane.
it isn't like oh no, that means Blight's never getting improved.
Right.
There's differences between overhauling and improving a league.
Yeah.
And there's and obviously doing a narrative sequel where
I'm
you
gonna have
kind
to
of
put.
step away from some of it, and so really here it's like
I
yes,
thought the
Blight,
stream froze. Oh man,
so
that would
many
have been.
leagues, right? And so all of them will get attention. Sometimes they'll just be quality of life, similar to what we've done with Heist this time round, because honestly that might probably deserves more. And then other times it'll just be an upgrade.
I certainly wouldn't want people to say,
So,
"Oh yeah, we're just going to do sequels from now."
no
on." But definitely
crossplay.
not. Like, I don't think it's going to be the most common thing. I think it's just a thing we decided to do here, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. But most of the time, I think people want new stuff and different new things.
I like the
No
revisits.
crossplay. Very
I
sad.
wonder, there's definitely some lore and stuff I'd like to see expanded. Like, I feel like Harbinger, for example, touched on some stuff
Harbinger,
that
dude.
was
I used to
mainly
play the crap out of Harbinger.
Part of what
Everyone
allows us to
hated
do the sequel
Harbinger.
here, by the way, and from a more
I
production
loved Harbinger.
point of view,
Yeah.
is that because we did the Twisted Domain and the new Breach monsters in PoE 2,
Yeah.
we got to utilize the monsters. So we didn't take the bosses from PoE 2. We made full from scratch boss fights for this version for Keepers of the Flame. Cool. But for the monsters, a lot of it's reusing the models, the animations, the rigging, a lot of the art side of it. And because we get to do that, we get to then focus our attention on all those other things that we would otherwise have to have a bunch of resources dedicated to. So like there's a kind of like two birds, one stone going on there where we not only got to do it, we got to do it in a more cost-effective way that allowed us to focus on other features that are going in the
I'll hit birds
expansion.
with stone, yo.
Win-win for players and for us in that regard. But it would be less trivial with other sequels or to other leagues where we don't
But I just spilled
necessarily
my
have
monster, dude.
all the
I
monsters
would've
and everything
became a
made like
monster.
that. So, not to say it's impossible, but it's just an interesting factor that came up that allowed us to do more here than we might, if we don't forward think enough or forward plan enough, and I mean quite far in advance, because like making these full monsters.
Oh yeah,
from
he got
scratch
the
is not
mocha
a
boost on again.
short-term process.
Let it go.
We might not be able to do for some other leagues. So, just a kind of fun internal kind of consideration that we
Sure,
made.
back 1 sec, no
Well,
problem.
like, an interesting thing here as well with the fact that Breach is in PoE 2, and I don't normally get into lore, so lore warning, but I'll try and keep it as oversimplified as possible because I definitely have delved into the deep end of the lore of this stuff. But so to simplify it, PoE 1, Chayula, baddie, we fight them. They're like the pinnacle boss from the first game, and yet in PoE 2 they're like explicitly not there as part of the boss of that, and also there's this lore kind of exploring the idea that they helped humanity at some point. So I'm curious if this expansion is kind of filling out the story in the in-between here, maybe explaining some of the stuff.
It 100%
PoE
is.
story?
That was a huge other win we got to do here, because really there was like, okay, there's the breaches in PoE 1, you know, previous to Keepers of the Flame.
They don't do stories.
And then there's kind of breaches in PoE 2 with the Twisted Domain. And it's like, wait, how did we get here? What happened? Okay, so there's 25 years.
Exactly. How did we get here?
What's going on here? So we wanted to, given again, because 9 years ago we weren't really putting that much into the narrative of leagues and into, you know,
we know.
you'd find back then, I mean, you know, we're not far from Onslaught League back then, right? It was just 20% of some stats. So, and even when we had Anarchy, there was Exiles, but like there's, you know, there's named characters, but we didn't really have voice acting for anything, you know, like we've kind of stepped up our game in a lot of delivery of that. So now we get to, you know, come back and go.
Path of Exile is a perfect example
obviously
of
there's uniques and flavor text.
you don't really need a story
a little bit more,
to be a good
add
game.
some interesting stuff to it.
You just need
also,
good gameplay to be a good
progressing
game.
the narrative towards what
And then
if people
once
are
you have good
PoE 2C.
gameplay,
Now that being said,
you can create
if
a
you just
story.
Play PoE 2, you don't need to know all of this. If you just play PoE 1, good on you. You now know it all.
Like,
you
why
know, it's all
don't
entirely
companies
optional
understand that?
information to know,
Create
but,
a good
yeah, you
game
kinda
with
have
good
this,
gameplay
I mean,
first.
worth noting,
And
know,
then
the kind of Chiola
write
arc,
your
you know,
story.
yeah, there's a bit of like, is he good, is he bad kind of thing going on. Still to be determined, at least for the
I don't
players.
I've got a
Yeah.
cult following, but that doesn't necessarily mean
Just
one way or the other, does it?
understand that, dude.
You know, like he was a baddie here.
I don't care
you're an
how
acolyte
good of a
Chiola
story
over
you
there,
have.
what
If
goes
I
on in
hate
between,
playing your
like,
game, I'm not going to play your game.
Chayula this morning. I'm like, even that
Your
doesn't
game is
really,
not
like,
fun.
kind of suggests that maybe it's not
Why
a
am I
good idea
crashing
to be
out, dude?
following them, but
It feels so
but there's
angry
power.
for some reason.
But like the monastery of the Keepers of the Flame is actually.
Okay, I'm back. Did I
where
hear
the
you
monk
say you need a
trained
rivals
and
carry?
from
Yes,
PoE
I
2
need you to
grew up
be
and
my
all of that stuff.
bodyguard
So kind of
in
little fun
rivals.
bits there. People playing both games will
I need you
appreciate
to
it. It's still
protect me,
great. It's going to be great in
and
either game, and it allows us to
I
develop.
need you to do
'cause
enough
they're
damage
both
to
in raid
everyone
class, it's
around
still a
me so
shared
I can get
narrative, and
kills
it's nice
too.
to be able to like evolve all of
Or
that.
assists.
It's, you know, it's honestly been fun, really. Honestly, doing all of that.
It's cool to expand kind of like some of the story of the Ascendancies there as well. Like you're getting a bit more of a tie in there as well. But you said the monks trained there, though. I thought you were just telling me earlier that the monks trained here in the studio. What's
Yeah, so technically now, officially, the monk has been
Wait, what else? I'll be your
trained
personal
by,
healer? Wow, dude.
one
That
of our IT administrators
honored.
here. Since
Modern. I'm
that
gonna have to
was the-
reinstall it.
He was the person we
For sure.
He's I'm not sure what the
I'll
martial
pop
art
in.
is, but you know he's very well trained. I believe a black belt, and we used him for our mocap reference.
That's so cool.
Hopefully he doesn't mind me
And
mentioning
I think I
that,
have to
but,
set
you
up
know,
my
it's,
Discord on
It was
Awesome.
quite
on
quite fun.
Xbox.
I think our animators enjoyed
so I
that
can
one a
actually
little
talk
bit
to
as
you
well.
guys.
So that's awesome. You guys hadn't really done too much of that in the past, or
You mean
Bible
mocap?
Fridays is
I mean, the
tomorrow.
animators always film visual references. So, like, I mean, they've got a room basically where they go up and they're just, you know, like doing all the animation, acting out. They're often not actually mocapping technically with like, you know, all the suit and everything, but they're often filming that and then doing animation to it.
The,
So
the
it's pretty common.
I'd say one of the most useful pieces of technology that we've been able to benefit from is it's a literally single phone shot mocap and
Yeah.
very quick from recording to in-game animation. It works really well for animating obviously humans, but
helps.
also for when it's involving just a single human. It's like ultra quick. Like if you have two and they have to interact and make contact, it's not very good at handling that. But it's been insanely fast. Just you just get a single small tripod with a phone, and you can
Grinding Gear
you can
Games.
record a
If
human
you ever see
chuck
this
it in game
clip,
pretty
I need you
rapidly.
guys to make an
So that's been
MTS
amazing, and honestly,
of a
lot
character
a lot of
or a creature
almost all of the human
juggling
animations you'll now see in
and
game
chaos orb,
where
like,
it's not
as
someone
if
punching
it's
or
a
hitting
soccer
another
ball.
person. So like
I
it's
will
not,
pay
you know,
$100
the
for that
best for
NTS.
combat
NTS.
and kind of scripted cinematic interactions between characters, but just those kind of
Nexus,
freestanding town
clip that.
idols and all of that stuff, yeah, you can do pretty rapidly now. been a pretty big improvement, I'd say, in a cool way. So
yeah, and I mean, you're getting like PoE2 quality stuff in Path of Exile 1 as well. Like, I've definitely seen things like that's a lot more going on there than there usually is in PoE1. You're just talking about the fact that the original bosses were just exiles with extra color filters on them, right?
I mean, everything new that goes into PoE1 like has been a lot higher standard than some of the early stuff for a very long time.
Isn't this great?
Right?
Just a bunch of nerds talking about a video game.
Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to make this worse quality because it's going in PoE1. Like, obviously, they're going to make something look as good as we can make it, right?
So artists are artists,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly, right? So
absolutely love it.
You could probably phone it in a bit more, I reckon.
They don't. No, an artist doesn't want to do that, right? They want to make stuff that's good. So
who wants to do that?
Yeah,
It's a quick way to remove their job satisfaction.
Right.
Make bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you mentioned the sanctity of the kill monster in circle. So on the mechanical front,
Man, I really want some coffee.
I noticed that there's actually two
What kind of coffee
distinct
do you guys
types of
drink?
breaches here. There's very much close to the original one, but then there's this hive one. What are the differences between the two, and how do they work?
We've got 4 encounters.
Here we go. Some
total.
actual news.
The more common one is the kind of what we're saying is the hive. So the breach have come through those the hand portals. They've stabilized the breach and are now building their hives. And so you'll come across there's heaps of walls and constructs and some half organic, half inorganic. And you get the little spider things, which I think is the Twitch drop for the stream. You get those and they're kind of building and they're like putting together like molecule by molecule building these hives. And that's
Vanilla
the one where
iced
you
coffee.
come in and you
I like
get given the
vanilla
power
lattes.
of the Keepers of the Flame, and that can just incinerate away all of the material, and you're kind of just like running around pretending to be a Righteous Fire build for a moment.
I'll just note as well, like you don't have to click any doors or like jump into any walls. They just evaporate before
you just run around. You run around
so
burning
good.
stuff. It's kind of satisfying. It's the ash going everywhere. There's a couple of things going on there. So generally when you get to the center,
Yo,
you
YouTube
summon an
lurkers,
A-list, you start
don't forget
the
to
encounter,
subscribe. Join the community.
and effectively just kill a whole bunch of
Help me
monsters.
reach my goal.
they're trying to get to her,
2,000
they're trying to
subs. We're
kill
so
her.
close.
They're not super effective at it. We're not doing the whole like they are persistently wanting to aggro on her. They're gonna try and kill you. That's honestly more of an immersive flavor thing than it is like meant to be too interruptive of a mechanic or anything like that. Again, because I wanted to just keep killing monsters being the primary focus.
But there is a thing where the
That's
more
good
walls
choice.
you burn, the more...
That is a good
there's
decision.
amongst all the walls, you can get these like spawners, these like hive portals, where the monsters can then come through. So if you want to activate more, to have more monsters, have more difficulty and get more reward, you want to burn as many of those hive spawners as possible, and then they will turn into portals once the fight begins. If you just want to run to the center, start the fight, do the fight, and leave, go for it. The other thing here is, though, that, of course, obviously this can be a bit of a clear, speedy thing where it's like, So, during those encounters, using the power of the purple flame, these kind of purple flames scatter out, and each of them kind of has a skill attached, just like an oh shit button. And so, like, if you're getting overwhelmed, there's like different things you can just click if you wanted to, if you needed to. Most powerful characters, you'll be fine. Just as it kind of like will send
Hopefully
out a
I'm
giant
a
nuke and
most
clear
powerful
stuff,
character.
or like create this like flame wall, and anything that runs into it will burn. And that's honestly more to help out players that are kind of struggling or on the weaker end and aren't like, able to kind of keep up with it. So it just normalizes the difference between bottom end and top end a bit. Again, not meant to be intrusive, not meant to be like complicated. We kept it simple, and it's just like 99% of it.
I mean,
just
when you boil it down, it's basically just like a fast-paced wave defense. Like, just survive 6-8 waves of
Pretty
monsters
much,
that are rushing at you pretty fast, and but it doesn't have that same clear speed pressure that the like basic one has.
Yeah. So that's one encounter. Second encounter is like the traditional breach, the one that players have, historically been playing. You activate a thing, the breach expands out. So these are breaches that haven't been stabilized yet.
Yeah.
So they haven't come through to build their hive. So you activate it, it starts expanding, you kill all the monsters, it's revealing, and then once you've killed enough, and if you can kill enough, like it can be kind of hard early game, but like towards end game, that's your goal. You'll notice a progress bar filling up, and once the breach gets to the end, that means that it will become stable. And so what was going to happen is when it becomes stable, the breach are going to send through their like difficult monsters, their elites, their enforcers, their front line to come through and secure the area so they can send through their like little worker spiders to start building their hives. So this is like a yet to be a hive, and so you don't witness all of that. Generally, what you do experience is you kill enough monsters. And then in the center, the portal activates and a bunch of monsters and often a boss floods through. And so now you have to go back to the center and fight all that, kill everything, defeat the boss, get the loot, and then everything drops then and there once you successfully do that. If you can't do it, run away. That's up to you. You know, you can still play it the old way if you want.
I never
and, like,
run,
not
dude.
get so much rewards, just kill as many as you want.
I'm never gonna run away from a
but
battle.
generally speaking, you'll want to go back to
You
the
got
middle.
me effed up. If you see me running, dude, it's not me.
Waves of hordes of monsters coming
me.
through the portal or the boss that spawns.
If you see me running away from a battle, you report me right away, because that's not me. Somebody hacked my account.
So the existing breach, I mean, obviously, it's
There's
pretty
no way
outdated
I'm running from
and
a
even
battle,
in balance,
dude.
and often people
I don't care if it's 1v7, 1v10, 1v100.
You know,
I'm going in there,
didn't have a time
and I'm
condition,
taking
so
at least 5 of them down.
That's it. You just once you kill
Before
them,
I
it
go.
closes. You have infinite time to kill that boss and fight those monsters. You're not just like, oh my god, I got to do it. So like, it is a more substantial.
Dude.
And generally, because you've cleared everything in that circle now, it's like almost like you created your own arena. You've got like a nice clear area where you can fight that boss and focus on.
Bro,
killing that boss.
as soon as fear strikes your heart, you've lost.
So obviously, it's
100%.
Not one-on-one, but
You've already lost
mechanics,
before the
quite
battle
cool. So
even
it's
began.
like Varun, the Marshal of Zesht fight. He has some specific drops. You generally want to.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah, so that's encounter number 2.
I just want some coffee now.
And then encounter number 3. I know who's going on a bit of a thing here, but these next two are a bit quicker. Encounter number 3 is the kind of sky fortresses you saw. It's very similar to the first fight. It's kind of like, oh, we didn't stop this hive. Some of these hives have been getting built for weeks or whatever, and now they're like, you know, full giant mega structures. So you climb the beanstalk, as I called it, the breach beanstalk. Nice. You get up to the sky fortress, and honestly, it's kind of just like a map of breach monsters.
There's no timer.
Clearing through.
Like
no timer at this point. You can just clear the area and leave. Taking your rewards with you, but in the center is
I'm just
like
a girl.
The hive encounter, the very first one, like a wave-based encounter. It's just a lot more epic, and you have to, you know, the same exact thing, except Aelith's like, yeah, it's going to take a lot more explosive power to destroy the rest of this hive and seal this portal, so you might want to get out of here. So generally speaking, yeah, once you've killed all the waves, you then have to get out of the area before Aelith burns the entire thing to the ground.
Cool.
Normally you can survive that.
Can't charm them into
you
non-violence. How would you charm someone into
once
non-violence?
you do, you get all the loot. Sweet. You're not going to get that encounter too frequently, but, you know, it can be a little bit of fun, a little bit more action-packed when you're trying to escape. And then the fourth encounter is pretty similar to that, except it's just an area with your pinnacle boss, your in-game boss fight at the end of it.
And you basically didn't show those in the trailer. 'Cause I did know that people were like wondering why you showed kind of so much of the Uber bosses for the regular content, but you didn't really show any of these guys.
We generally avoid showing bosses for sure, especially new ones. You know, you get a silhouette of it, a single emerge shot. And yeah, for sure, like,
you know that one meme? It's like, well, I'm just a baby.
They've got like 10, 15 skills each.
Oh, that one's a good one.
We've changed of each, you know. Maybe not the best option. Like, I know people like their full mystery, so like maybe lesson learned in the future might just show nothing. But yeah, we only did show one of all of their skills that have changed, you know, just so people get a general grasp of how they're changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably, given the feedback, I'm probably just not going to show those again. So
yeah, they didn't show a lot of skill gem, new skill gems. Hopefully the patch notes has more.
So
they've only shown like the kinetic ones, bro, and like some of the bow ones.
Tree, well done.
The tree.
But this tree is quite fascinating because it's not just a like a meta progression system for the league or something. Like, there is that, it is progressing, but it is a crafting system. It's a tree that is a crafting system. And from messing around with that, like, it feels kind of brilliant. Like, this is a really good idea. How did that come about?
It was kind of a mixture from Chris Octavian and I can't remember who. Me and him and kind of Andrew, we all kind of just came up with ideas. But I think the original tree that spawns items or grows items and then hatches items came from Octavian. And and the grafts, mind you, as well. He's got a
he's cooking.
creative brain on that one.
Going.
Comes up with some cool
Dude,
ideas.
these grafts,
like, that kind of
that they're gonna have
out there style of design
are gonna be
good.
insane.
And,
they're gonna be so powerful.
Yeah, so eventually we took that kind of idea. I was the one who brought Breach to the table and was like, oh, we can unify these, and that came from an interesting thing where in the
Energy
Twisted
Blade
Domain
is gonna be
these,
so good unless they
have
brick it and nerf the shit out of it in patch notes. Which, if they do, I'm just gonna delete my account.
I love them, and I'm like, normally because you're on a timer in that area, and you're
hopefully they don't.
And you're fighting monsters, you don't really get to appreciate a lot of the art assets in there.
Zoom.
And I was like, wow, damn, I want to use those trees, but have them, because I think they're petrified in that version. So I was like, what does that look like when it's a bit more alive, a bit more organic, a bit more gross? We kind of came up with this tree, and tree that hatches items, and it has this fruit, and then we were like, nah, I don't want just a tree that has fruit. It needs to be gross and dark and horror, It's like, this is a gothic world. And so, we obviously went a little bit more crazy with the theming on it all. But I like it, right? It is dark. It's like you've got this alien-esque demon species, right?
It's like squeezing the items out with a bunch of plus.
Yeah, it kind of came like that, and then it's like, wow, it needs a meta progression. The good thing about the tree having a passive tree is we get to reuse all the same code that our passive trees use, and then the other, because it's good because then you don't have to make a completely bespoke system. And again, it's picking your battles, being able to focus more on what the nodes do as opposed to the underlying system.
I think what's pretty interesting about it though is the way that it actually for crafting. It's quite interesting how it sort of encapsulates the idea that you've got various dependent choices. You don't normally think about crafting in that way, but that's really what crafting is. And so it kind of means that it's actually a surprisingly natural interface for crafting.
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
Yeah,
it reminds me of
it works really
the
well.
Dell.
That's kind of
I think they were called resonators.
I don't think I've ever seen it before. Someone doing anything quite like that.
Kind of reminds me of that.
It's
the same concept
and stuff, but they're usually separate, or there's some little bit. But yes, that's what I was thinking, because I'm thinking a lot about how do you communicate crafting, because it's a pretty complicated thing generally, even at its simplest in Path of Exile. But this does seem to have a very natural, more understandable way of communicating it, because you're allocating the nodes for the craft. You get to see the structure of your craft in a visual manner, which I'm like,
it is cool. So how did we go this? So we've got multiple character trees. We've got world area trees. Is this the first crafting tree?
Well, kind of. There was the one with the items. I don't even remember the name.
There was the
Crucible. The Crucible one.
Well, they had the Necro lead.
You could kind of argue Scourge is like the whole microwave.
Because that's not a tree.
But it wasn't really a tree. It was like a grid. It was a bit different, So I don't know. It might be our first true crafting tree.
It's I just can't help but wonder. We'll see, I guess, after a league. But I just can't help but wonder if you've accidentally stumbled upon one of the potential solutions to how do you communicate crafting to players, because it's so hard to do. It's I don't know. Maybe this has applications elsewhere.
We'll see how it goes, and there's a lot to expand on here. Of course, when you have these kinds of tree systems and. Immediately people are going to be like, oh, keystones and, where's my crafting tree notables and masteries and jewel slots.
My cluster jewels for my crafting tree.
Yeah, build your own crafting tree.
Yes.
We'll see where it goes, but obviously that depends, we don't want to overcomplicate it off the bat, so you come in with something kind of simple, elegant, see how it works, see how people respond to it, and then... if things go core, because we always like to decide based on how the players respond, we can evaluate how we want it to be, if we want to change it, if we want to leave it as is, if we want to, so we'll do all that. But yeah, it's cool. I like a lot of the ideas coming here with that, with that and the grafts and stuff like that. There's some pretty crazy cool things.
So talking about the idea of preserving some of the stuff from the old Breach or what's not being kept. So you had the old Breach Lord domains. They're effectively being replaced or removed here?
So those are all... We've kept Breach 1. I don't know what you'd call it.
Breach 1.
On standard.
That's funny.
Really? Whereas on this league, it's the...
I don't know why that was funny. That was funny to me, guys.
Flame mechanics. So full replacement. None of that is there in the current... while playing in Keepers of the Flame. All of the Breach nodes on the Atlas tree are gone.
Oh, man.
And
That's
all that.
what
so you've got the current league. Obviously, our intention is that it goes core, but we'll take the better elements of it. One interesting thing here is obviously we still have all the old stuff. So if we miss the mark on some things, it's still there. We can bring it back. We can integrate it. We can, obviously it would suck, to have to accept that we have to keep using all the old art and old mechanics and old fight to some degree. But like, if they're more fun, they're more fun. We're not necessarily here in the business of taking away things that people loved. So obviously I'm pretty confident in what we've got is going to be amazing. And as you said, first impressions pretty positive. So, but worst comes to worst, if we have to take the best of both worlds and merge them, then that's still what we're going to do. Now that being said, so yes, you don't have breach domains in Keepers of the Flame. You got all those new mechanics I described earlier. But that isn't to say there isn't a future where we have a prequel to the prequel, and we have or an update. Not necessarily another sequel, but you bring back some of those things that were good about it. So immediately I can see people coming to mind. Oh, but what about the uniques or the rewards? We have kept all of that. All of that can be spawned from the tree. Cool. You can grow pretty much all of it. You can find. I won't reveal exactly how to do that. You can figure that out.
Yeah, nice.
But
nice.
You can generally get all of the historic rewards from Breach from the new.
I bet it's like really hard to be talking about like your projects without spoiling stuff.
Sitting there with the silly thing. That
they got their improvement in PoE.
I'm sure they're like
so
excited to talk
accepted
about
that
it.
Having a double effect while in Breach, especially given that's only useful some small percentage of the time generally, not good enough. So yes, the breach rings have been reworked. I believe the implicits are all max res of the corresponding element types. I can't remember what fifth one is. Whatever, we'll deal with that. But I believe it also restricts or constrains the mods you can roll in it. So it's like Zoff rings, fire mods, etc., etc.
Cool. Sounds rather interesting. The unique crafting as well looked pretty wild. Like, I was pretty excited to see that. I expected it to be like it would remove a modifier and then just replace it with like a random rare modifier or something. But it seems like they're actually handmade modifiers, like there's bespoke modifiers, and even multiple, like those 2 Quill Rain ones. Is this just like a long list of them? And surely you can't do 1,000 uniques worth of those.
I actually don't know what number they got to, but effectively it was just like, we'll just go until we run out of time. But nice. Yeah, like there's just a whole bunch of uniques. It is here's the list of mods that it can lose. Here's the list of mods it can be replaced with on a per unique basis. Yes. Right. Again, not all the uniques. I almost assure you it won't be the majority. And obviously you're not going to be getting pinnacle boss uniques from here and stuff like that. Those are restricted to things that have specific drop locations.
What about Mage Blood?
But yeah, that being said, there's a list. It would suck to
what about Headhunter?
Lose the key mod on an item. So generally speaking, we don't allow like what gives that unique full identity to be removed. A lot of it can be either the fluff stats, sometimes the downsides, some stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just kind of see what
Imagine
happens
you get
there.
a Headhunter with
if
some
people
crazy
love that,
added.
It would be the thing where we can add
mod.
more and more and more and more, and then eventually we will have the entire unique pool covered. So we'll just see how that goes, but
wild,
it's kind of fun.
You love to see it. So the other thing was these creepy arms that you can grow on yourself. I love that. We just here have an arm. Sure. Just plug it into your back. Why not? I mean, we were shoving rusty bits of metal in ourselves and stuff before, so why not continue with that? But these are like, it was in the video, but I didn't really like kind of understand kind of how impactful they'd be until I was messing around with it, especially for leveling. But these are like pretty major skills and an extra layer, because especially so there's 16 of them, and you can have 2 of them, and they're like a mixture of auto casting skills, proc based things, so like on attack or something, and manually cast in some cases as well. Like I had a tornado that was like crazy. So these seem pretty significant. What's kind of like the plan for how impactful you want these to be, or like, especially at endgame, like they'll definitely like very impactful while leveling.
Obviously, there's always going to be a spectrum of usability. Generally speaking, yeah, they're going to be pretty powerful, but you know how strong characters can get. They can generally outclass everything. That being said, for a long way, they're going to be pretty damn useful. And even beyond then, there's generally you can scale the difficulty of the game like hectically. You'll notice like something I think you observed as well. The numbers on the skills are like out of control.
Yes,
that is because they don't scale with your stats.
Yeah.
Obviously, debuffs on the enemy, anything you debuff on them does. But yeah, they don't scale with your increases. The reason for that is that I wouldn't want it to be that if you're a spellcaster, you have to use one that's doing a spell, you know, because you generally focus on increases. And I didn't want it to be that, now in order to benefit from grafts, you have to really only invest in global damage increases and stuff like that. It would restrict the character builds too much. So we made them not scale with like your character stats. Obviously, again, as said, if you reduce the resistances of the enemy, then the enemy takes more damage, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a kind of a lot of them that vary from utility through to just like pure offensive power. They all also just come with stats. So, and yeah, as you said, if you didn't want to, like, there's ones where you use skills and you can use that tactically. You can merge that with some of your abilities, or if you just want to, you know, effectively let it autocast. There are versions for that as well. If you just can't be bothered, that's also fine.
Said it.
And honestly, the worst comes to worst, at the end of the day, they still kind of just have some mods, and that's
you
fine.
You can enable it to
autocast. If you want to get one that just like specializes in harvesting more graft blood, that's also a thing you can do, because those systems are linked. Like the grafts do gain the graft blood, which is what you give to the Genesis tree to get the item. So there's kind of a nice interlink between.
And they should really be replacing the power that you previously got from mercenaries, right? Like, if the league needs to give you something that's going to fit in that power curve, so therefore you can look at it in a similar.
They are mercenaries on your back.
In a way you could say that. Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking when I was messing with it. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have two of these. It definitely feels like how I was looking at the mercenaries and picking mercenaries that had like two really good skills. Right. It was kind of a similar idea. So the design of mercenaries has informed this somewhat, then it seems.
Sadly, you can't gear your arms.
No.
Can't put items
can't
on.
Put a bunch of rings on.
Tell your arm to hold a sword.
Yeah.
You know? That would have been kind of fun, though.
That would be pretty cool. The way Octavian explained the graphs to me was, he said, they're not you. And I'm like, somehow that's really creepy to hear. It's like they're attached to you, but they're not a part of you. That was explaining the scaling. Like, that's why they don't scale with your stats, because they're not you.
They're independent life forms, and therefore don't benefit from your passive tree.
We didn't do this, but we had a desire to do unique ones, which I thought was kind of going to be fun. We might do this later, like going core, we'll do it, but we're like, what if you, and I think it was Octavian's like, what if you had a leg growing out of your back? What does that mean? And, you know, I was like, what if you had like a good jacked quadrilla arm or something? Because I was like, you could just have unique ones where they have like just like deformations, and you can have like random, you know, deformed crazy things going on, or like, you know, I think I had a design, I was like, what if there was one that was like converted, you're like, I don't care about the league, it converts all graft blood to gold or something, and it's a kind of like cursed pirate treasure arm or something, and you know, we'll see if that goes somewhere later, but I think that could be kind of fun to play around with. So
there's definitely some sort of like biomutant kind of combining of limbs and genetics and stuff potential here, maybe.
Later mechanic, right? Like nice to have these things you can expand on. So
yeah, so it looks like you can synergize with them, but you don't necessarily scale them directly, like you're saying. You can debuff enemies and things like that. While we pan down to some of our additional questions, I've been noticing some that get mentioned a lot in chat that we'll kind of transition over to briefly. So WASD gets mentioned a lot, like if that's something that's planned for Path of Exile 1, if it's feasible, what goes into
so
that?
In order,
it's a pretty big deal.
In order for WASD to happen in PoE 1, we need to get the rigs from PoE 2. In order for that to happen, we need to finish moving all the microtransactions over, which has definitely been a bit of a slow task that we kind of, you know, need to get through.
Yeah.
And so effectively it would be like, we do want to do that at some point. And then after that point we can make WASD for PoE 1. But yeah, it's just a question of getting through all that work, and then we can do it. Like, I'm not against it by any means. It's just, you know, it's just, I mean, I want it to happen. It's just getting all those things moved over to the new rigs is the limiting factor.
Yeah, and you want it to be kind of reaching a certain threshold, it seems like.
I need them to ask about crossplay.
Well, I mean, so yes, you can
do it.
You can.
I hope they ask about crossplay,
where the character just rotates.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that gets like that. The quality of that is really not great. You know, like, I don't think it feels
please
good.
ask about crossplay.
So
Yo,
I kind of want to
please ask about crossplay.
Rigs that we get, and look, that would be so beneficial to everything anyway. Like, we're highly motivated to do that because it means that we don't have to rig a bunch of stuff for the old rigs anymore, which a bunch of artists would definitely appreciate. So yeah, like we will get that done, and then but yeah, it's going to take a while. Like, it could be quite a while.
The biggest benefit from the rigs is just that we're going to then be able to actually do a lot more new skills.
Animation
in PoE1 as well that actually use new animations, and it's not going to be an absolute nightmare to try and make. So that's going to be epic when we actually get to that point and can just be like, okay, floodgates open, let's go and make a whole bunch of new skills that are using new animations. Because you'll notice, even though we have a bunch of new skills in this patch, it's all using the existing animations and different means of delivering it. So generally speaking, we have kind of your spell projectile, spell AoE, spell buff. They're kind of separated into all these categories.
Yep.
And so when you generally do a buff, you just use the buff one, and AoE use AoE one. But as a result, we don't have just cool bespoke things where you I don't know, do a flip while doing doing crazy stuff like that. We're not going to be able to really get that in PoE1 just because the cost is insane to animating that. You got to do that on 7 different characters, 7 different rigs
with all the different weapon sets.
Yeah, with every single weapon set. And because generally PoE1 doesn't have as much restrictions on the weapons to skill association, you'd be like, it's not great. It's really not great, and it would be the cost of doing that would mean we'd have to do so much less other stuff. So yeah, I mean, just a random tangent on why the rigs would be beneficial as well. Immediately, I'm just like, oh my god, please, I want to do new skills that are
But we will do. We will do it eventually. It's just porting all those stuff.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting insight that you even plan to kind of bring this PoE2 rigging system over to PoE1 for animations and things like that, because that indicates that the future of Path of Exile 1 is not very static visually. Obviously we're seeing new stuff getting ported back, but potentially a lot of stuff getting remade and updated, and PoE 1 is anticipated to change a lot in that regard over time.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just for no other reason that it makes our lives easier, we need to do it. But yes, it will have the side effect of making the game look better too, which I guess is good.
So another thing I saw mentioned in chat quite often was asking for Trial of the Ancestors and what's the plans or status.
Bro, ask about crossplay.
I mean, we want to do it. That ultimately is just a resource thing again. It's it's one of those ones that it can't be 1-to-1. It was too gameable, too solvable. Got to a point where it was this is the strat you do. We need to fix a bunch of stuff with it. It's not out of the question. It's honestly just whenever we assess the scope, it comes up all the time. And it's we could do this, or this. What do we? And it's always going to come at a cost to something, and it just has been so far. At least 3.26, 3.27 that we've wanted to make sure that we had other priorities. I guess it's safe to say.
Ask about crossplay.
So. TBD, who knows? Every single time we don't plan too far in advance with the stuff. So generally, when we are at the next league or the next 2 leagues worth of discussions, it's we have a list of things that we could do. It's in that list. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. So we'll see.
Feel free to be coy about this, but it seems like since something similar is occurring in Path of Exile 2, that might help you kind of solve some of these questions for PoE1. So maybe that gives people an idea of the time frame.
Well, as I said once, if obviously there's a could do with respect to PoE2, but if we manage to go down that route, we get to do the exact same thing we did with Breach here, which is that if we have all the monsters made, and a lot of art made, and a lot of encounters, so even if it doesn't appear the exact same way, it'll allow us to do a massive shortcut, which would mean that all of a sudden it is way more possible to add as a feature without having to compromise too much else. So
nice. Yeah, I can see that. All right, let's talk endgame, and I'm sure you're anticipating a discussion on Tier 17 modifiers, modifier design, their addition to memory strand maps, risk scarabs, and map modifier effect. So I list all these things out because they all come together to form a bit of a tangled mess of late endgame. And I'm just curious, before we even get into what people are asking or what people are saying about it, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this topic, I guess, of Tier 17 modifiers and their impact on late endgame.
And the main thing I'd say there, just as an overall view on it, is that T17s, there's this tension between, it is not a good place to be when there's a tension between what players are enjoying and what the thing we want to try and do is. That's a problem that needs to be resolved. So effectively, it's what T17s are supposed to do in theory is something that we want, which is to say, that you get something that you don't necessarily like want to have to play against, and like you have to actually and you have to deal with it or come up with a way to get around that. But in
T17s have always been pretty difficult for me.
So something does need to change, but it's a little bit tricky to come up with something that we want.
It can only be like two of them.
Both sort of satisfies our desires for like
comfortably.
like interesting challenges that are different each time that you play them. That like all the there's like new and interesting things you encounter, but yet also something the players actually like. So there's a problem for sure.
So what is your desires for tier 17 maps? Like what do you want?
Well, as I said, I don't think it's necessarily the desire for T17s as such. It's more the desire that you have like like interesting combinations of mods happen, and they're like, oh, this is a new challenge I have to rise to, and like, how am I going to deal with this, and that kind of stuff. And like, that's something that like in practice players aren't like really liking. So as I said, there's a problem here for sure. It's just a question of how we kind of
100%. They're not in the right spot.
Yeah,
I am of the like, we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit here, because like we, and to be fair, we are like trying to band-aid it, but we can only do that for so long. We kind of just need to reinvent something here a little bit. Like they were intended to be the penultimate bosses that allow you to do the Ubers. But they're also now, also this non-sustainable map, and where you have to, obviously a lot of people feel like they have to trade for it, and then in the other cases you've got a bunch of modifiers people hate. You've got this like thing where because of the mods you end up devolving down to the in-game strat becomes, as you said, stacking map mod effect and modifiers via risk. And it's like it's not fun, it's not ideal. We tried to narrow the gap with T16.5s, that kind of worked, and then you get some other weird problems where like, because those can be APROP corrupted and tier 17s can't, there's some weird issues there as well. And honestly, it's like, it is a kind of mess. And we intend to keep band-aiding it until we can drawing board, but I would expect you'd probably see a pretty...
I think it needs a full redesign.
Yes.
It needs a full redesign to try and see if we can come up with a way to both achieve what we're hoping to achieve, but also make the players not dislike it, right?
So is this maybe like separating out what you're trying to do with the tier 17 modifiers and what you're trying to do with this penultimate like boss thing that is like the lead up to the Ubers?
That is a split at the very least.
Okay.
I don't think that we've worked out exactly how this can work, though.
Yeah, T17s
I don't
are
think
kind
that
of garbage.
the best, most rewarding content in the game should also be the tickets to the Ubers, and in that.
But you have to farm them.
Even
so
that's like broad and sounds weird when you first say it, but
it's
like
so hard because
it's kind of, you know what I mean, where it's something's wrong.
There's a fundamental tension with, you want the hardest content in the game to be the most rewarding. But like the moment you do that, there's all sorts of incentives that come into play that mean that people don't like it when like there's a map now that you can't run because the mods are not good for you and that kind of stuff. And like, so then there's also like, it's a problem.
It's a little bit of a mess of problems.
It's a problem.
Any individual part of this I look at, I'm like, well, this is actually okay in some circumstances.
Right.
Like, it's okay for there to be some modifiers, maybe
right.
Like, I'm sure, I think you guys feel the same. Where it's like, it's okay for there to be some modifiers that are like better for other builds.
But in the moment that it's like, it feels like a huge economic penalty to that.
So the
you're
economy
immediately like you're immediately kind of.
But you get the thing right now, you stack the risk scarabs, and then it's like, okay, only Trickster and Juggernaut can play it as a way of it's perceived. And it's, again, we are changing a lot of these variables, by the way. We're not just leaving it for 3.27. Like, we are changing risk scarab, we are changing some stuff around map mod effect, we are changing.
Good, nice.
There are bits and pieces changing. I'm not going to stop band-aiding just because we have a grand plan for the future. Well, we have an absence of a grand plan, a desire to have a grand plan for the future. But we will. I would be very surprised. I know I shouldn't be promising content in the follow expansions because variables always change, but I'll be very surprised if we don't do a more drastic shift in 3.28 to solve this problem, because it's now long enough that it's not worth it. So obviously, hopefully the changes we are making improve things in a pretty meaningful way, is shake up the meta a little bit. But yeah, there's still going to be some woes, and but hopefully people can be excited for, the whatever the thing is to come. But it shouldn't be too hard for us to come up with something. Honestly, similar to how we did 031 for PoE 2. If we can come up with something that is just like a universal success and like is blatantly a win and isn't going to, lower the value of people's economy mid-league and stuff like that, I wouldn't be. Against, if we can come up with something, because we're obviously going to design it soon. If we can come up with something or a piece of that something to deploy to, mid-league, mid-keepers of the flame, I will push for that. We'll just have to see if that's something we can actually do. Because often these things will mean like, oh, now all of X will become devalued. and I don't want to like ruin people's mid-league economy and wealth and just destroy it because we decided we want to make a change. And so, you know, there's considerations to make.
Yeah, from speaking to Octavian about the tier 17 modifiers as well, I can tell they're kind of weighing on him, like he really wants to do stuff with them.
I think we're all on the same page. I honestly don't even know if anyone really is disagreeing with, like maybe in little ways, but I think everyone's kind of.
Okay, I gotta ask, like, is there someone who loves the 3 seconds out of every 10 seconds you can't deal damage modifier? Like,
no, bro.
I like it.
Okay, tell me why.
But I play support characters. I don't deal damage.
Okay. All right, you're gonna jump on this.
That mod is so dumb.
How does that modifier come into being?
No, I mean, to be fair, I like things that are just a bit more. I'm a bit more masochistic in that regard. So, I'm not attempting to put my masochistic views on the player base. I understand that generally speaking, people aren't for that kind of thing. But you know, I also like trying those things, seeing how it is, and you know, there are things where these can exist. Like if this was behind a couple more layers of some sort of more niche corruption mechanic where players, or you know, some crafting system over here where players can kind of choose to do it but don't feel forced to do it. You know, those things can exist, and I want to make sure we keep that kind of stuff. But in the broad mod pool, some of these mods are, they're not really working.
Yeah, it was
evidently
that one, and the like action speed reduction from using your skills, and I think there was the petrification statues that get mentioned a lot as well.
It's the drowning orbs plus it's just like, okay, thanks for making me slow. I mean, the thing about slowness is you do feel it, hence why. Whereas often you can just be like, I'm just gonna ignore that. That's a nothing mod.
Physically painful sometimes. So
you know, but it's a bit overboard right now.
Yeah, it's like I see the problem here. Like, I'm so torn on this because I want these sorts of. I get the idea of these modifiers being like things that you can feel like that they have a bit of an impact, and they're not just like.
Well, I don't want everything to just be another multiplier making the monster get closer to one-shotting you. You know what I mean?
Mechanics to happen.
Yeah, you want something, but there are some that are okay, and there are some that are not, and we just haven't found the perfect spot.
There's an analogy about this, which is like, you know, how do you feel about immunities in D2? It's another sort of similar situation, right? Where it's like it forces you to change something about what you're doing, and a lot of people just really hate that. Yeah, and it's kind of like a similar sort of situation, I think.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I like the idea, but I don't like the execution of that at all. Yeah.
Right.
Or the
and I think we're actually sort of running into a similar situation with this.
This is it is kind of your. I mean, we've danced with this a few times in the past. We had some immunities on some pinnacle bosses and stuff like that. We talked about it in previous chats a long time ago. But so it sounds like
about crossplay.
Modifiers are changing, and if nothing else, maybe as the band-aids.
Sure, I mean, there's band-aids like that.
Maybe I should go to their chat right now and ask about crossplay.
Yeah, that's all. I don't know if I can say more than that.
I get banned. Imagine.
With the map mod effect and the Atlas tree in particular, I'd rather there was like 15 different ways to scale difficulty and reward, as opposed to just like, here's the stat I stack. And it's just like straight multiplicative. Right. I don't know. I want, because obviously a lot of the stuff on the tree is affecting the leagues and the content. I want more than just map mod effect to be the way that you can multiply. And so it's like, oh, do I want to focus on this or do I want to focus on that? And there's like different builds within the like making things more harder and more rewarding. But yeah, right now it's just like, well, obviously I just stack all of that. Like quantifiably, it's obviously better, you know. And like there's I don't know. It's a little bit lame, honestly. It's kind of just a boring thing right now, and you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I want some Taco Bell, bro.
Drawing board, 100% back to it.
Yeah, everyone, let's go to Taco Bell.
I'd be surprised if we're not doing something for 3.28 as much as I told myself I wasn't going to promise following expansion content, but you know.
There's some patch notes coming out later today. Is it later?
Yeah, I don't know what the time is, but you know, our 11 a.m. NZ or whatever it is, kind of thing. Like,
there'll probably be like a rollout.
I mean, 2 chicken quesadillas.
Like that's just generally the case.
I just ate Taco Bell, bro.
Difficult task. It takes quite a while to get all that stuff.
I mean, you've got an extra week to make additional changes. Like people are like
saying this and
like get extra ideas and stuff. And some of this stuff may be in there, but it can be. Have a look at some of those in there. But it sounds like we're kind of on the same page with you guys at least.
I like the chicken.
Yeah, I don't think you'll. I mean, obviously,
I like the Chipotle chicken melts.
Needs attention. So yeah,
they're really good.
All right, it's cool. So on Endgame though, in like a longer term, from a longer term perspective, we have a pretty good Atlas endgame system right now. Like I think it's pretty well liked, apart from this issue that we just talked about. Like overall, the core of it seems great. Like I can sing many praises about it. But previously, like historically, you've done a lot of complete endgame overhauls. And to the point that it was definitely a trend. Like it seemed to be like the way that you guys would go about it. Like every so often there'd be a major endgame overhaul.
I had the crispy chicken patina. Like, it's like the chicken quesadilla, a hard taco.
Kind of want to keep and maybe change.
I
Instead.
don't think that we would want to not overhaul the endgame again. Like,
is it like the normal
it's not
taco
like
shell, or is it
don't-
like a
this
specific,
is what we're
like
set on,
unique
we're now just
one?
going to keep this forever? Certainly not. It's more just that comes down to like it is hard to come up with the ability to do a scope for that, and it's been especially hard.
This sounds pretty good though. It's
It's
different.
in early access. So it's kind of like we just need to get back to a point again where like that level of scope can happen.
Bro, I might need
I
a
don't
nap.
think it will be necessarily that far away.
I'm gonna
from
take
the
a
point where it
nap
should
and
be,
sleep until
fine
next
again.
Friday.
It's just that like like it really is just a
Comes
question
with
of like
chips in
can we
case
get
of
the
two,
ability
like
and
number
time to do it?
11 or 12. Okay.
But yeah, like I don't think, as I said, I don't think it will necessarily be that far away before we do something like that again. And like you do need to change the stuff every once in a while. Like it does become stagnant eventually.
Interesting.
So like yeah, I think we should do another big overhaul. But obviously the term overhaul can mean a lot of different things, right?
We should be careful with overhaul.
Like it's not like it's going to change into like a it'll still be.
Yeah, I think they're talking too much now, bro. They need to calm down.
Like none of the overhauls we did changed it too fundamentally. I would say in some respects. I mean, yeah, there's big changes, but
Yeah.
I guess
I need to
depends on how you
go
look at it. But it's not like we're going to suddenly
Taco
be like,
Bell
oh,
and
yeah, we're changing it to
overhaul
be
their
like
whole
POE2
menu.
system or something like that. Like
And taste it all.
but we do need would need new pinnacles and new challenges there and that sort of stuff. Like that's something that we will have to do eventually. It's just getting the time.
That kind of stuff, like escalating the narrative and
That needs to happen.
cycling out bosses
That
and
needs to
cycling out
man.
characters and changing all that stuff is like generally pretty harmless and generally cool. Like you're not really messing with the systems and the core of what people like.
I
and
think
the
this
cycle
heater
that
in my
people
room
like.
is making me sleepy. That's what it is.
So like obviously that's always just a nice win when you get to be like, all right, what are the next set of what much like Breach
I have this
has now
ring light,
evolved and
bro.
gone
This shit
forward in
becomes so
time.
fucking bright.
So will the end game story at some point, and we
need
will
to
do
calm
that
these joints
for sure.
down.
And it's just like there's always mechanics that come with it. And sometimes if you add those mechanics, they can't coexist with some existing ones because it overcomplicates everything, becomes a mess. I would hate to have, I don't want to add more systems and now all of a sudden it's extra steps even more over to have to do on your maps before you run them and that kind of stuff. So sometimes things need to be replaced, but like, we appreciate the fact that PoE1's endgame is in a pretty overall. I mean, everything always has its problems. I'm not going to deny it. We just discussed them, as you said. But it's in a pretty damn good spot, and there's so much good about it, and I don't want to ruin that. So yeah, we'll be very careful with that stuff. But honestly, generally, we'd like what you might find is that we use this T17 thing as a motivation to go, what is the redesign? Okay, let's use that as the crux of what we design around and fix the problem both narratively and like game design wise by removing these problems from the game, creating something new in its stead. And yeah.
I think what I'm most curious about is like if let's say you went into a meeting today to try and come up with a new end game for PoE1, like an overhaul for it, would it still have an Atlas passive tree like it has now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
no way you'd get rid of that.
I already know.
It's too good, right?
I already know what it is, so I already have it in my mind.
Oh, okay. You were saying before last time that
It's deep in my mind.
you've
but
got
it's
a story arc planned.
Well,
out.
the Secrets of the Atlas was intended to be part one of a multi-part, right? So
definitely set
I've
us
got
up.
the other parts, or at least most of it. And yes, the tree is still there. And honestly, I don't think anything is fundamentally in my plan in my head is changing enough to cause any concern. So, I mean,
All right, great.
it's all for the better. I'm pretty confident of that as well.
Great.
And now everyone will have to just wait to see what those
Yes.
ideas are for an undetermined amount of time.
I assume we'll get a follow-up to the
teasing
story,
us.
maybe next expansion, perhaps, of following along what's happened. That was a pretty interesting last one.
We'll see. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about balance. There wasn't too much revealed about balance in the reveal trailer stuff.
Here we go.
Itself,
Here we go.
But, I know it was mentioned that there would be a bit of balance stuff going on here, and I've had a chat to a few people and scoped out some things. Like, for example, there is the unplayed assassin that gets asked about a lot, and it seems like something's happening for assassin.
Yeah, that actually came kind of recently. We were just like, can we really? I think what I had said, and my intention was to do this for both games, is like we should at least look at, like at least with respect to ascendancies, look at the least played class, especially if it's been consistently least played.
Yeah.
And make sure that that's on the radar and getting some level of improvement.
Only played by extra skilled new
even
players.
Even if it means we have a go at it,
I got a build.
If the scope's too high,
I got a leveling build for it.
And if the scope's within spec, we do it immediately. In this case, yeah, we looked at the assassin. It was like 40% lower, at least on the primary leagues. You know, it was like much lower usage than even the next class, and then, you know, so it wasn't
the
doing
Chayula
very well. And it's been the case for a little while. So we were like, look, let's just do something. Like, come on, it's better than doing nothing. So obviously we just put together what we could over a couple of days and kind of mix and match. We had like 3 or 4 different iterations, and you know, it came up when we were looking at it. You know, it was like the whole. You have the interesting thing. You go and look. You look at the class, and it's like, why is the ruthless poison node better than the non-ruthless poison node? Weren't the classes non-ruthless meant to be a bit weaker? And then it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's a thing we can maybe draw inspiration from, and you know, we just did our whole like process for
Amazing.
that. But yeah, so we teased that last night, whatever the time zone is, you know, hopefully people enjoy it and play it. But yeah, I kind of want to get into the rhythm of every expansion. At least we look at, not necessarily change because it depends on the scope a bit, but
so
we
that
at least
might
give
be
it a
the
go
only
of making
class
sure we look
change.
at the worst class, no matter what. Even if ascendancy classes aren't part of our, like, you know, the package of things that we're wanting to improve. Because sometimes we do a focus on ascendancy classes, other times skills, other times this, other times that, and but I was like, okay, it's like, this is pretty bad. Let's do something about it this time and see if we can be consistent with that.
Oh my god,
No promises,
we gotta look
but,
at the
you know,
patch
we'll
notes.
try.
And there's a little bit of a wild card in the mix here with Bloodline Ascendancies. So just to clarify, these are Ascendancies on top of your original class that you can choose where to put your points.
Same point pool. And the reason a lot of people ask or immediately are like, well, why don't you give separate points like Affliction? And the real reason is combinations are great, but also I didn't want to have to water down the power of the points. That's too much power creep, like to add to a character to be able to give trees at large. And so there was that interesting part of it. The other second part is that we wanted to make sure that there weren't enough points that you could put all 8, at least generally speaking. So you'll find most of the classes only have 1 to 3 notables, kind of up to 6 points worth that you can spend.
Yep.
And this is so always, no matter what ascendancy you are still matters. I didn't want to just make it that literally the entire game, no matter what base class you are, where you start on the tree, is the same. If it happened to be,
because I need to be an Inquisitor,
you know, which I'm sure one of them probably is. And all of a sudden now every single person is just this one thing. It wanted to be like, nah, I think we want to do a feature that adds as much in-game build permutations as possible.
Yeah.
Well, and also what's cooler than just being able to take the powers or learn the powers of your favorite boss for the purpose of a fantasy. Let's mix and match these things, and now you get this cool, like, okay, I'm a Templar.
Who knows if I'm even going to get to the point
holy
in
powers,
beating those bosses.
I'm also going to embrace my dark
those
side
bosses
over
are probably
here,
so
or maybe the
difficult
ways
to
of the
beat.
Asmiri, and you get like a freaking Ashabi Guardian thing or something. Oh, sorry, I've got support classes on my brain all the time. So, you know, you have your Slayer something, you know. So, you know, the permutations honestly are endless.
God, dude.
And obviously,
I need
metas
this
are
game
found,
now,
built to
bro.
create it, and all of that. But
I'm about to call my job
what we
and tell
obviously
them I'm not
find
coming
is
in
that,
for like 2 months.
Well, there's a few awesome perks here that I kind of like. Is that
Imagine.
We can add motivation to doing certain content that otherwise you wouldn't normally do. That's great. We can add this for future content very easily, right? There's probably other bosses that you're like, oh, we can do this and this and this. Like, it's very easy to expand this and take it away. And the reason we're able to do that is because it is an in-game feature. It's not like overcomplicating the campaign and that player's experience. Like, you wouldn't want a second class in the campaign. People were like, holy, I've already got a tree and I've got this tree.
You mean a third class?
A second. It's like, I've got too many classes. There's too much stuff going on. So being able to keep it in the in-game is an in-game unlockable thing, where we can expand this feature over time. Now, all of that, of course, is under the assumption that succeeds, again, we'll listen to the feedback, check what players think about it. But assuming it does well, again, pretty high confidence. Yeah, it will remain and we'll keep expanding, keep extrapolating, keep changing. And then it's yet another lever where we get to add so many different builds, because one bloodline being able to then be paired with all, 19 ascendancy classes is just like, all right, we've got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of different options, a lot of cool things you can do, and I mean, I am actually
Inquisitor with a bloodline on it.
This is what happens here. More than most really things. I'm always like kind of excited to see what players do with things, but like here, I'm just like I don't know. Let's see what happens. Like, it's gonna be real cool, and I suspect you'll get, like, for quite a while, people narrowing down on exactly what the perfect combinations are for different things. And,
Well, this definitely seems like one of those things where you just design something cool and we'll see what players do with it, because there's too many permutations there, right? Like, I don't even know what the math on that is, but it's pretty crazy, the amount of like new nodes.
Number.
Yes, several
infinite. No, not
several dozen new nodes accessible to all of the existing ascendancies. That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. I'm like thoroughly excited. I'm gonna just do the whole, like, what boss do I feel like being this league? I'll just see if I can make that work, and then so I'm actually gonna go backwards. I'm gonna pick my bloodline based on what boss I want to kind of embrace the power of. Then I'll pick my ascendancy. Then I'll pick my I'll
That's a good way to do it.
I'll pick my skill, and I'll end up a support character. I'm sure.
Flavor building wise.
Well, if there's no mercenaries, I need to be a good mercenary to my friends. That's my philosophy.
Back to being mercenary again, eh? So this isn't tied to Breach League, the Keepers of the Flame. It's a core game feature available in standard as well, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yep. Cool. And saw someone asking about Forbidden Flesh and Flame. I assume that wouldn't work with this.
Not with these, but that isn't to say there won't be some future uniques that maybe do.
I mean,
we'll see what happens.
There's an option there, isn't there?
Okay. More Forbidden Flesh and Flame. I don't know what I want to call them. Yeah.
All right. Continuing on the balance topic, from asking around the PoE community, some of the more common things that just kind of come up was, the most popular thing was just the general idea of buffing underprivileged skills, like giving them some love. So you mentioned this idea of like looking at the worst thing in terms of ascendancies. Is that something you want to do with skills as well?
We're always, there's a little bit of there's a few things to go into here. Like, for example, yes, there's obviously the core skills that are bad. Sometimes those are then enabled by something else going on, some other feature getting added, uniques, whatever. But most of the time, they're just, as you said, underprivileged. We've done a decent chunk of numerical changes here, mostly numerical. Some are, I don't want to say unsalvageable, but like, they don't have the same level of different multiplicative scaling that other skills could get. There's not too many though. And they require more, what I'm getting at there is they require more of a rework in order to actually become, truly viable. That being said, yes, there are plenty that always need numerical improvements. I don't know, and then you got things like the Trathan gems, right? Cool concept. 90% of them weren't really seeing any use.
Yep.
A few were, and now those are going core, I believe, into heist is what it is. But is meanwhile also full balance pass, so hopefully some more come to the foreground there, and so on. So like, but like honestly, this is like a kinda endless task. It's like almost like you could just never stop. So like we like to just do batches at a time and send it, and we try and do as many as we can. But like each require discussions. They can be quite time consuming. Some are more obvious, where it's like, okay, obvious increase, and others are like, do we want to do this or do we want to rework it? And then you get lost in a rework discussion. It's important to like cut the time. And it's like, actually, look, for now, buff it. We'll come back to it later. But yeah, like we get through as many as we can. We've done a bunch. I could always say, ideally we'd do more, but like I don't think, again, there's no real end point to that. So yes, sure. I wanted this patch to be very class centric in terms of balance, and like we did.
Yeah,
I would say we did a decent chunk, but it's, we didn't get to cover every base 100%. So obviously, like, you got the bloodline classes, you've got grafts, which are character centric, and then we got the whole set of new skills and support gems, and some changes around that. There are a bunch of other changes, but yeah, like, it's that thing where I don't know if I'm ever satisfied. I always you want to do everything, you want to literally do it all, and you never can. So like, hopefully there's enough certainly should be enough to shake up the meta, should be enough to make everything feel fresh and some awesome cool new stuff, but like, you know, don't be surprised if a particular person's favorite skill didn't happen to get touched. Like,
that's the interesting thing about the skill buffs idea, is that you manage to achieve these days very, like, there's lots of different builds, and they're changing a lot each league as well, by virtue of like the new stuff that you're adding, like ascendancy changes or new skills or whatever. All that stuff is creating lots of new builds all the time. But when it comes to the skill buffs, I think it's more just about, like you said, like someone has like a favorite skill that has been languishing. Some sweep lover
it
is out
sucks
there
to
just crying
see.
still.
It sucks to miss something, like, because what happens when you buff everything, then you get a lot of like, but what about this? And you're like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, I really wanted to, and you know, and then sometimes we still try and just squeeze it in before the patch, and we just try and get as many done as we can. But yeah, like again, it is ultimately a resource game, and we do as much as we can. We really do, combined with both new stuff to change everything up, bringing like excessive outliers down, and we do try and improve as much as we can. And this time we took it upon ourselves to add a bunch of new skills and supports, and so I don't know, there's heaps there, but you know, it's that
dude,
thing
they're adding
where,
new
a
skills
few people
too,
are
and support.
missed their thing, and there's a few, you know, you want to do hand casting, you want to do that, you don't want it to just. I know that's come up, and I think even you mentioned earlier as well. It's just like, it devolves down to often, you know, either Archmage or you know, Ephemeral Edge, and like that kind of stuff being just like, well, obviously, right, quantifiably better. And so yeah, just the ideal thing where, you know, we'd make some changes to some of those, and ideally you'd bring up all of something else, but you know, sometimes you get some of it, not all of it, and everything. But yeah, there's heaps here. Just, you know, you never quite catch everything, but there will be new metas, there will be new builds, and probably a lot of existing stuff will still be, you know, pretty decent. But yeah, there's a bit of nerfs, bit of buffs, bit of, you know,
oh boy, bit of nerfs.
It's a bit chaotic, but you know, there's something satisfying to it. But yeah, as I said, you never really fully get everything, and thus you never fully feel satisfied.
You kind of answered my question a bit, because like one of the popular archetypes that's come up as being a bit problematic is hand casting, self casting spells, and usually I think what gets brought up with that is like slow base cast speed.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
And that in turn making things like echo feel bad, and mana costs being.
I don't think we've done that enough justice, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's certainly on the hit list. Yeah. So we'll either we can get to do some stuff, you know, in this coming week if it's simple, if we can think of it. It's not off the cards. That being said, there's always next expansion as well. But honestly, you never know, because often these external variables, like the new classes and stuff like that, can really change these things up, you know, without you really predicting it as well. So, you know, I can't speak to what we'll do in 3.28 with respect to all of this, because we have to observe what happens in this patch first, given how many variables we've added. And like we said, we've added a nearly infinite number of permutations of builds with the new bloodline classes and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how all that goes. And then, but we'll just keep doing it. It never stops, never ends. It literally is an infinite task. You never run out of stuff to do here. So we'll just keep doing it every single patch as best as we can.
One that comes up a lot is the kind of dominance of ES stacking and kind of stacking builds in general, but ES probably has been getting mentioned a lot more. Forbidden Ride, Ephemeral Edge, things like that, but also just ES compared to Life as well.
Yeah, it does happen.
Classic.
You know, there are Band-Aid fixes and stuff like that we always like to do, whether or not you can consider them Band-Aids or just like, you know, you just change some numbers here and there. Sometimes in the case of like Ephemeral Edge, it can be a matter of like, yeah, that's an acceptable thing to do. It just shouldn't be so easy to do. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's no broad solution here, but yeah, I agree that it is a problem where it's like the more traditional just do a thing feels like it's now wrong. It feels like you got to like pre-commit to being like, what is this singular thing I'm going to stack and then pick the thing that scales off of that. So be it like attributes historically, you know, not just thinking current meta. It's always it's always like, yeah, you just like heavily stack this one thing and here's a unique that scales off that thing. And it's like, well, that's on one part is interesting. It's like fun. That is the build.
I'm in two minds on it.
But then when every build is just like, okay, well, that's stacking this, that's stacking that, that's stacking, and you start going through the build and you're like, okay, well.
We definitely like very slowly got here over time, I feel like, in the stacking, where it just became kind of like, Yeah, just a little bit at a time. It became PoE 1 became all about stacking builds.
It really primarily comes down to mostly to the unique items that got added, right?
Yeah, it's often
generally a unique item's special thing is like, what am I going to scale off? Be it
hope they don't
off
nerf
evasion or off armor or off energy shield or off life or off ES or mana and or off int or off strength. It does end up in that, and then some unique gets added, like maybe it's 1 per year, and it's like, oh, here's another 6% increased intelligence. There we go. That build's now just got a little bit more of an edge, and you do kind of just power creep into that point for sure. So
it's like I don't even know like how much of a problem it is, but it's like definitely identifiable that it's like a big aspect of the build meta for PoE 1.
It is. I think
it's other things out maybe.
I think it's too dominant, but on the other hand, it's
fun though. Like, people
it's
like
fun. It's cool. It's interesting.
So you don't really want to.
You could argue it's what makes things kind of as part of PoE to a degree.
Yeah, it's an actual action RPG.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with it. You don't just want to take away all the fun and just make everything flat and boring. On the other hand, but you also don't want it to feel like a player's made a mistake by playing a more traditional, build, and it often can feel that way. So there's a fine line here. Hard to be at that fine line, but yeah, some things are a bit too OTT at this point, and other things are too far on the bottom end. And the other problem is if they start buffing all the skills, well, a lot of those skills might see use, but they'll still see use in that stacking ecosystem, and then it's like, well, have you really made a new build at that point? Like,
I think that's sometimes the problem is like, my builds feel the same because ultimately, like, I'm using different skills, but they're all I'm just stacking on all of them or something like that.
I don't have a here's the solution.
Yeah,
because it really isn't how it actually. It's not really how it plays.
Kind of gauging your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy discussing it. It's just a matter of it's honestly 500 different solutions, and we need to just chip away at them and mold it, and it will eventually shift into something else, and then that will be meta, and then that will be complained about probably after a while, and then something else will be, and it's the cycle. It is balance. It is as I said, it's an infinite amount of work, and we just need to keep doing it. Like, you don't give up on it because it can never be solved. You just keep going, and as long as people are having fun, and you don't compromise the philosophy of the game ultimately, then you're winning, right?
Balance is a journey. Yes, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
It is. It actually is.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, sure, it's just the stops along the way. Every expansion.
That's it. Yes.
Every reroll.
Well, a nice stop on this expansion I noticed is Wand. So you did actually mention it last 326 Q&A. You said Wand specifically. I went back and watched, and I was like, oh, interesting. I should ask about that. And then you showed off a bunch of Wand skills, and it seems like there's some nice Wand buffs going on in there to help Wand out.
Buffs.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things. There's a bit of a hidden gem is that there's attack mod only Wand based types in the series now. So they're literally, and they're kind of themed more around kinetic
wands.
Wands.
Kinetic.
So, because that's always been a bit of an annoyance. Like, there is a place for the hybrids, but that's been a bit of an annoyance. So now we get the pure attack ones to help it a bit easier to roll for those builds. You got way more of a skill set to pick from now. And then, I mean, generally speaking, the skills, they can be pretty hectic. They can scale pretty well.
Kinetic round is very hectic.
Oh boy, everyone's gonna be doing kinetic poison assassin
general
build.
Kind of physical kinetic energy kind of thing going on. We had a little bit of it with kinetic bolt, kinetic blast. So we just extrapolated on that theme, and you got your wanders, and it's the thing, and then we also added a little bit of kind of wind magic, some tornado stuff.
It's like a force wall that you can.
Yeah, the kind of force wall. You've got a little bit of inspired by Huntress from PoE 2 a little bit with some of the, I walked upstairs the other day and saw some QA playing, and I'm like, oh, someone's embracing the tornadoes, and he's like, that's not even half the tornadoes you can make. And I was like, all right, sweet, all right.
Yo, you hear that, Adam?
And I walked out of the room.
He saw the build you were doing.
That's
funny.
I blasted I 1 through 4 yesterday on a wander, and I was just like, man, this is so good. I was having the time of my life. Oh my lord, the new skills and the wands. And it's not just the kinetic ones as well. It actually pairs pretty well with the other ones that have the flat added elemental damage. And it all kind of came together a bit. It's
it's cool.
I definitely in the past I just kind of wrote wands off. I was like, yeah, they're never gonna get to wands. It's forgotten about.
It's always been pretty kind of just, it's niche. It's actually an interesting thing. I mean, obviously it was designed before I started on PoE, and I always thought, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Like that wands that aren't about just spellcasting. It's they're about doing attack damage. I thought it was interesting.
Pistolero style. That's what I like about it. Wands.
Yeah, this might be the largest update to wand attackers that we've ever had in now like 15 years or something. So
it's just finally, I know there's some people in the chat that have been a long time waiting for this one.
Yeah, you're right. It has been
your
forever.
moment has finally come. It's good
cool
stuff.
Yeah, there's a few other little gems in there as well, like some fire archer kind of things, and there's some that we want to still extrapolate on, but like wands was the main focus.
Yeah, definitely a lot of love for wands, and pairing in nicely with the added skills from the hands on your back as well. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lots of fun synergies there. So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious about the long-term development of PoE 1. Like, how much is PoE Classic, PoE 1 kind of like sacrosanct to you? Like, how much do you like not want to change it? Or because you've been taking things from PoE 2 and feeding them back into PoE 1, and I'm curious, like, is there points you get to where you're like, well, actually, let's not push it too much closer to PoE 2 in that direction, but keep it its own thing, or maybe like actually let's kind of preserve it as it is to some extent?
I wouldn't want PoE 1 to ossify into something where we feel like we can't change stuff. Like that would be
patch
bad.
notes, please.
But
yeah, I think they're a little.
But it's kind of like okay, the stuff.
I think they're dragging
that
it now.
We'll probably take back from PoE 2 is more around the sort of QOL.
All they got to do
right?
now
So
is just
obviously,
be like,
people would
there's
have been
crossplay,
rioting
by
if we
the
hadn't
way,
bought
and
basic
here are the
trade,
patch notes.
From PoE 2 into PoE 1. That's obviously something required. And so it's been sort of nice that we get to do a little bit of like proving grounds in some cases in PoE 2 for some of those changes to see whether or not it'll be okay. The thing we wouldn't ever do to PoE 1 is make changes that would break what
Feel
people
free,
like
Dismal,
about it,
to
fundamentally.
message
So
me on
there's things like
PlayStation app.
the trickiest
You ever want to
parts,
say anything about the patch
things
notes?
like the way that item drops are and stuff like that. Like I don't know that, like, even though there are things I don't like about that,
Still got to get
I
your.
don't think we could necessarily change them either. In terms of so like there's stuff like that
I
you
think your
just have to
Discord's
kind of
on your
like let it be,
profile,
because
right?
they could
I think
easily
so.
break stuff that people really like.
It kind of raises the question, like, what is it about PoE 1 that is like that does need to be kept? That is kind of what makes it feel like itself, that people do love about it.
I think that it's hard to even define that, quite frankly.
It is,
Let me double check.
Yeah, like it's a mix of things. I mean, look, the thing that PoE 1, I guess, has become known for, as opposed to PoE 2, is just like the combat pace stuff, like where it's just like ultra fast in a lot of ways. But it's not like there was like a goal to make PoE 1 like that either. It just kind of is, and so you wouldn't like it's I wouldn't even want to nerf that about PoE 1, right? Like it just is how that is, right? So that's like really the fundamental difference. But the thing is, I think actually that the community sees more differences between the two games than what we do. Like from our perspective, like it's like there are
Probably going to be testing later. Notes drop.
Exactly, but it's
Are you going to be streaming it or not?
It's not like we changed design philosophy or anything.
By the way,
right?
your
like
Discord
the same design philosophy from the
link
same designers
on your Twitch profile does not
It's
work.
more just a question of like PoE 1 got a bit out of control in certain few
It
aspects,
says
and that's
invite
kind of become
expired.
part of its DNA, and so we can't really change that. And so so when it comes down to stuff like that, we'd take from PoE 2 to PoE 1. Well, it's just like all the things that PoE 1 players would like, and none of the things that PoE 1 players wouldn't really. I mean, look, that's ultimately.
I mean, if you want to drop your Discord name,
but yeah, I wouldn't want it to be. I wouldn't want to be in a situation, as I said before, where it's like, okay, we're like PoE 1 is in some kind of perfect state that needs to be preserved forever. Like, I don't think it's like that. We do need to be able to make changes. So yeah, it's just a question of.
I think a pivot with PoE 2 out, and this isn't obviously black or white, but PoE 1.
Why did it start out?
We always had and this is still true. We still want to bring in new players. But I would say PoE 1 now, it's more important to us to keep the PoE 1 player base, the fans of the game.
Is that a link?
The long-term
Did you probably
players,
put a link?
the people who love PoE 1 happy, as opposed to going, we need more new players, we bring people in. Whereas obviously PoE 2 is still now a growing game. There's a new audience available, that kind of thing. So obviously we still want people who love PoE 1 to love PoE 2. That's the ideal world. But that being said, when we're looking at PoE 1, we're not going to
whisper on Twitch.
do anything that's going to compromise what the fans love
emotes.
about it in order to bring in a new set of players at this point. Like, I would say that's going to be pretty rare. So it's about making sure that the people who do love the game continue to love the game, and that's why you're probably going to see less in the way of like some grand structural change to all kinds of stuff, because if that change would bring in a bunch of new players. Like, I think making sure you have a good, popular game that people love will inherently bring people in, because people will see that positivity and be like, I'm going to give this game a try. Less focus on bringing in new, more focus on keeping the existing fan base happy.
I sent you a...
whereas obviously with PoE 2, it's a bit of a different story where we really did think like, we want to, there's a new room for a new audience here. There's room for a different audience. Like, we want to make sure we get as many of those players as possible. What would it take to do so? But ultimately,
and then if you want, you can send me
boiling down to, aside from obviously modernizing graphics, changing the feel of combat, honestly, the biggest change is just balance.
I don't necessarily even think about it, I think, in the same ways. Like, I'm not thinking I'm making changes to bring in new players. I'm thinking, like, what are the things that I want to improve that I think that we can't change about PoE 1, because they are somewhat would be impossible to change just due to the game feel changing so much. Yeah. And so,
I like your profile picture.
Really, for me, it's like, I'm on a 20-year quest to make the perfect ARPG, right? That's my sort of like design thing. And it's like nothing actually changed between PoE 1 and 2 philosophically, other than just learning about some things and deciding, I want to improve things in certain ways.
I do think there is a little bit of an assumption that a lot of philosophical discussions occur with respect to, like, outside of talking about dexterity and stuff like that.
Got it. Cool, I'm in.
Honestly, most of it is just like, we're just kind of get real passionate and just start coming up with real cool ideas of shit that sounds cool that we want to deliver. Like, we're not really having discussions about, like, hey, okay, today, Jonathan, let's have a discussion about how many new players we can bring in. Like, we don't do that. So, about, like, I'm trying to boil down what we are. I'm trying to turn it into a philosophy, but the reality is the process.
How'd you make it?
Like,
you took a selfie? Cool, I'm just kidding.
That's it. Cool shit. That's fun. That doesn't like compromise things in too thing of a way. Things people will love. Things people will enjoy. That is the ultimate goal at the end of the day. As I said, making whatever the visions are of this infinite quest of making the perfect ARPG.
Quickest band in history.
So, like, it's always interesting trying to be like, how can what are the rules? What are we going to change? What at the end of the day, it's just like, well, I don't know, we'll just continue to make cool shit, and that's just generally what we're going to do. And so, I don't know, it's actually a little bit hard to try and decipher that down into like a set of rules or something. It's like, I don't know, if it's cool, if it's fun, if people love it, then it's a win. And
it's good that both games have a bit of room to breathe on their own, then, because you can preserve the things that do make PoE 1 its DNA, but are objectively like limits to what sort of improvements you can make to the game. But I do have an important question for you both. What bonus should dexterity give you?
Oh, jeez. You got a few hours?
See, I know this has been... Every time I come over here, I feel like this comes up. It's been going for a while, hasn't it?
Oh, for
dexterity.
sure.
What do you get for dexterity? You still haven't solved that one, huh?
At this point, I just feel like nothing. Just nothing. It's
just vibes.
We just call it... We rename it to green attribute. It just does nothing.
It's an organic attribute. Like, very nice. All right, so still not solved there. So you did mention that asynchronous has come over to PoE 1. It's like, initially I was like, there's almost not a question about that, because it went into PoE 2, it worked. Was there any problems in bringing it over to PoE 1?
Not really, to be honest. Like, I think it basically, I mean, the fact that PoE 1 got the gold already kind of meant that it can kind of work. But
the gold is a thing though. Like,
it is, because of the fact that the gold is more scarce in PoE 1 more valuable for other things.
Used.
More used for other things. Yes.
Yeah. So we had to do a little bit of balance around that.
That's
obviously, but also like we do have to go through and assign gold prices to everything in the game, and obviously because PoE 1 has a lot more different items and stuff going on, we did have to go through and do all of that. So yeah, it wasn't just like immediate. We had to consider, well, hold on, the gold balance already was kind of like tight, like so. And it's in that spot of like, some people are like, I want more, and you do want people wanting more, and so now all of a sudden there's this extra thing. That's a cost, so we have to obviously account for that. What else was there though? I mean, ultimately, it's mostly just, I guess the console.
Yeah, so there's like the thing. So console previously had a kind of like trade board thing, which is made pretty much entirely redundant by this. So that old trade board is getting ported over into this system now. So that's
we're actually deploying that. Just a fun fact. We're going to make a post about it, but we're deploying that a bit. The removal of that a bit early because we need. There's like a thing where we have to get rid of it before the new system is put in place due to just like database migration kind of territory things. So we're doing that like a couple days early to remove the console trade board and then
dang, rest in peace. Trade board on console.
We'll do a whole post about that.
I've used it once probably in my life.
Items, they all get put in remove only tabs and all of that stuff. But
well, I'll tell you for the PoE 1 only players who maybe haven't tried it in PoE 2 yet, it's been pretty phenomenal. The asynchronous trade is definitely like a massive quality of life improvement and very pleasing to use.
Async trading is
a new era.
We have a bunch of UX improvements we still need to make to it. You know, it's got its kinks. So like, I wouldn't want people to think just because it's porting that we're seeing it as perfect. You know, I know people have brought up having save searches. Being able to more rapidly, like, you know, you could control right click your item to automatically search for that item. And
we're getting that feature, right? I think they even
that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm talking about things that are in progress.
Like, that's actually wild that you're like potentially getting that. That's
it's very. I know everyone wants.
Is that going to be in time for PoE 1's release?
I'm not sure. I actually haven't followed up on the exact specifics of that where that's at, but
that's cool.
If not, it'll just be mid-league or something. You know what I mean? Like we'll try as soon as it's done on both games, it'll get deployed.
Since you're on it, was there like a reason why you can't mouse over items in like your sold items log to see what they were? Like I like that information to be like, oh, what was that sold for 2D of?
Tried that, didn't we?
But it doesn't.
I don't remember, but it might have been that it would require storing the item, which might have been.
We discussed originally allowing that. I think. I remember discussing that before doing it, and we were like, "That would be cool. That would be the thing we want to do."
Probably doesn't store it at the moment because it's like
a tech thing for that.
It's not like. I mean, we could probably do it, but.
Okay.
Yeah, it
potentially on the cards then. It certainly would be nice. Like I like that feedback as a seller, but I certainly love logging in the morning to all the currency and seeing what's sold for what.
But effectively, I think that like trying to improve the kind of price check experience would be the thing that kind of like the next frontier of like in terms of the in-game UI trade search and sort of stuff.
The slippery slope to slide down to.
As long as we don't all of a sudden have like stock market-esque UIs. No,
I don't think we're not going to get that. Like basically, we have to find a way to do that stuff that doesn't get overcomplicated. So like but then that's the tricky part. Like trying to improve that.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that in the past, like how far you would potentially want to push that, and like I think there is like an interesting like opportunity you guys have to be able to help make that like much more sane for players compared to what it is now to price check an item, which is a very complex affair typically. So, but it's interesting that that's on the cards. That's something you're exploring, pushing further, not just kind of leaving.
But I don't think that's going to come all in one grand moment. Like I think it'll be, so this time it might be just being able to. I can't remember what the modifier keys you have to hold is, but there's some modifier keys you can do to like effectively search for the item that you've got under your cursor, and open up the board and see it.
Nice.
It's like, I got these decent pair of boots. I'll just search for that, and then you maybe lower the move speed by 5 or lower the life by 10, and
the thing that you want to get into is because there's all the questions around. Okay, but what if these mods are irrelevant and you don't want to search for them, and like being able to do that right? And exactly, it's like all of those things that need that need a little bit of UX around them that we will.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about because with the right UX, you could really communicate that skill in a nice visual, physical way to players, which is kind of exciting. Anyway, slightly getting off topic there, but trade is like it was obviously a big thing, and like for a very long time, you guys were rightfully afraid of like what would be the economic implications of this? How would it affect gearing and progression? And like, I guess like firstly, what has been kind of the use rate of asynchronous trade? Like, how have people been using it?
So we were checking on this recently. I think that you got them to look up the numbers on that, and it ended up being around 50-50.
Just under half were using the new system in PoE 2 so far. I expect that to go up over time.
Yeah. Is this like compared to the existing stuff? Or?
Well, it's just compared to people using normal trades. From one person to the other.
Okay,
but there was a little bit of filtering, like, okay, if it's like with your friend, do we count that or not? And like that kind of thing. Like there was a few things like that we would need to sort of look at to see, like, questions around that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's people who are using it seem to like it. I mean, the buyer experience is obviously way better.
We generally found like. I don't know if it's still the case now, but like for a while, like the new trade system, the items were a little bit more expensive. So then there were people who were like,
settling in.
I'll deal with the old one because I want a thing a bit cheaper.
But then the reason why they're more expensive is because of the fact it's easier to buy them. So therefore people are willing to pay more. So
most people are like, I'm just going to pay the extra cost because I can't be bothered with
exactly.
doing it. So,
yeah.
I agree. I'm one of them.
Right.
Cost of money. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's important to note as well, and I just want to always verify this. If you are a PoE 2 player and you do have your merchants tabs, you have them in PoE 1 already. You don't need to buy new ones.
It's good.
They are shared, just to reiterate.
Thank God.
So, what do you think has been the effect on economy and gearing, and like, is it as I guess as bad as you feel?
I honestly want to look a lot more into this, and I sort of suspect that the damage, as it were, that it causes is like quite subtle and harder to appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no damage. I think it does matter, and like the things we were concerned about are real. It's just that like it's really hard to kind of quantify that. And I sort of suspect that at the end of the day, the benefits just outweigh that by much higher degree, to the point where like it honestly, like just should have just done it.
Was the cost that needed to be paid.
But the thing that you were just saying, right, is that like those kind of like mid items are like now worthless kind of thing, and that is exactly the fear that we had, right? Like that's the concern.
Yes, Jonathan was asking me before this, like what has been my feeling of like how it's affected my experience, and like I was saying, I'm the player who lives in that 5 to 10 C sale range, like selling those items for 5 to 10 chaos.
And that is exactly the fear that like introducing fast trade does kill the values there. And that like I mean that's a problem.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's going to change that is if we increase gold prices. Now, there's going to be an interesting dynamic with the gold and PoE 1, and like we'll sort of be interested to see there. But it's like
we'll have to keep an eye on that one for sure.
Yeah. But it's sort of also hard to know exactly what's going to happen with PoE 1 as well, just because there's so many more items. Like there's so much more going on. So like maybe the breadth of the economy will kind of change the dynamics a little bit there. But it's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Well, like it's an interesting mixture of phenomena. Like you get the ability to obtain like your starter endgame gear for 5 exalts total. Like you can buy a set of gear basically for 1 exalt each.
Right.
So like that's obviously there's a big impact there.
For sure. I mean that's that once again that is the fear, right?
It's just like the standard now, the bar for like the quality of our gear is raised to a certain point. Right. And then I guess that has follow-up questions like as to how powerful crafting is, how powerful like item drops are when you first get to early end game, like how difficult the content is. Obviously there's like there's a whole like follow up here.
I mean, we're going to have to effectively look at what all of that and adjust. And the thing is that effectively by making trade easier, it's meant that the difference between SSF and not is effectively increased. And that kind of thing as well. Like, I mean, there's some stuff there, but I mean, going back to PoE 1, I suppose, like, even though we've got this experience now with PoE 2, we're just going to really just have to see what happens in the PoE 1 economy. And there, you might have to be some adjustments, but it's going to come down to the individual.
I mean, either way, though, like the amount of people I saw just being like, please just deploy a league. I don't care if there's nothing in it. As long as the trade system's there,
but this is the thing, right? Like it just kind of has to happen. Like it doesn't even matter. Like the
async trading is
but we still have to do it anyway.
Huge
it's
quality
such
of
an
life.
improvement.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
I'm excited.
It's good. It's so good.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to explore this. Like maybe like even next Q&A, like how it looks like if we start to see things over time.
That would be cool. But yeah, it's crazy to think about, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we're talking about releasing Breach 9 years ago. Now who would have ever thought we'd have gold and asynchronous trade and a currency market and like, holy, we're not
actually
are we the same people
back then to say.
We are, but
I know I'm not. It's like it's a good thing. It is. It's healthy evolution.
What is the effect of cruelty? I have no idea.
So moving on to some kind of mixed questions. Mercenaries was mentioned to be likely returning.
I have no idea, bro.
Rebalance, redesign in some cases. I'm just curious, like, does that mean that like some sort of
sounds like a
debuff
debuff
is a plan to come back, or is it more just about like having the jewels there with the gambling or something like that?
The intention is they come back. There's just a little bit of figuring. I mean, like with all these things, we have to figure out exactly.
Is that like on a unique?
It's very hard to develop. We like to see how players think about it, find the bad things, find the good things, and all that. And it's very hard to develop how it goes into core straight away, because then you'd be working on that and some things might change and then you end up wasting a bunch of time. It's way easier to let it end, to be able to process everything all in one collective and then make the changes and bring it back together. But like, what is it like? It's a great new player tool. It's great, like, or you know, less skilled players tool. But like, what does it look like when it's not the active league? Like, I don't want a mercenary in every area, and you know, there's all these kinds of like things you got to mess around with and change about how they appear. Is it on the Atlas tree? Are there scarabs for it? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know.
Is that the one that like increases,
you know, all the way through to, you know,
damage over time? I think something like that.
I thought it was too free to just.
I know it's not a blue
uniques on them without really caring about the downside. Like, they would, you know, there's like they weren't balanced quite right. There were some that were terrible, some that were not so terrible, and like, you know, so there's just heaps of stuff to change. It's really hard to do that when you're in the middle of the league and where you're
more
gathering
damage
all that information.
So
yeah, generally, when this is what you find with a lot of leagues, you get the league, you get a break, and then it comes back 1 or 2 leagues later because it's given us enough time to work out all those kinks and put it in game, you know.
Fundamentally, though, like, so I quite liked Mercenaries, but I also see it as like the sort of thing that I don't know if I want it to.
Looking at poison tendrils,
always have to hire a mercenary.
I agree.
Well, it would be mandatory, right?
And that would be and
Bro,
this is the thing with additive power like that as well. Is like the moment you've got that, well, what's the reason why you don't do it?
Yeah.
And that's answering that question, I think, is like.
So before you, you know, get all excited,
permanent mercenary,
tendrils,
permanent graph,
the channeling skill,
now
you will need a ton of cast speed
I think
to get to the last form
you just need to find the right way to do it that doesn't involve.
Are you able to stack cast speed on the right side of the tree if you go with Assassin?
When it comes back, it'll be some sort of more like limited or
maybe. Honestly, it's hard to say. It's hard to say at this point.
Yeah, like I imagine there's like a lot of different ways you could go with that. Whether it's like, they're tied to a skill gem, or they're tied to a certain ascendancy, or something like that. But I mean, it's a cool design. Like, it would be cool to have them back in some capacity.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm sure they will come back eventually. It's just, how?
Yeah, we already said they were, so they are.
Yeah, you promised. When you said mercenaries and then the graphs, and I was like, what's that game with the giant rolling ball that just sucks up all the entire city? Like, I was like imagining Exile's just kind of becoming that over time.
Yeah, I would have just turned the game into just like everyone's an auto bomber. You know, with all their just like league mechanics, just killing everything for them, you know.
Mari, thanks, Charlie.
Right. That is a good. That is a good.
So, we did touch on gold. That was good.
That is a good
Heist
thought.
is mentioned.
That would be easier to do then.
Gems
Scion.
added to it to give it a little bit more. It got some nice quality of life improvements. But something that I saw that was an interesting question was. So at one point, Heist had these like extra modifiers you could get on contracts to like make them more interesting, and they don't really have anything like that. And I would go so far as to say right now Heist doesn't really have any decision making. How do you guys feel about the state of Heist overall?
It's not good enough. And this is the part of the problem is we were having. It's
they're talking about Heist. I don't really care. So I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. I will be right back.
And then that was honestly what was holding up that QOL change, where it's just like, because we also were like, we'll design it out such that the rogues don't have the levels, and it was waiting on that, and I was like, okay, look, at this point, it's been too long. We don't know when we're going to be able to do this. We can't say with certainty, because again, the same resourcing limits, the same argument as Charlie, the answer's the same as everything. We have to pick our battles. There's more battles than can be fought. And so, and the same thing, I was like, okay, well, look, if we're not doing this anytime soon, then yeah, we should do this QOL change, and you know, we'll make little incremental improvements to them all the time. But yeah, it's one of those ones that needs some love for sure, and it'll come eventually. We cycle through everything eventually. So yeah, I mean, I just can't win. I don't know. You know, you never know. You never know with these things, because we assess the battles every time, and we try and pick the best fought ones. And I know there'll be some people who are like, Heist should be your #1 priority battle, but like, you know, I don't think that's the majority vote right now. So you know, we try and make sure we, you know.
Heist is a tricky one because like I think it always suffered a bit of an identity and mechanics issue as to like, what is it supposed to be? Is it a stealth thing? Is it a just run through as fast as you can? What's the decision making?
For sure. Wow.
But it's also like simultaneously, it is quite well loved by the people who like it, and it had like a lot of flavor and cool characters and stuff in it. Like that. So it seems worth salvaging.
It's definitely rich of character involvement, NPCs and lore and stuff like that. So it's nice, and it
I named my daughter after one of the characters, so you better save the mechanic, please. Just saying.
Who was that? Was it
Talina?
I was going to I was going to suggest one of the crazy character.
That would be an interesting name for my daughter.
Well, I don't know why you named her that. That's your choice.
I'm a fan, okay? It comes up every now and then, of course. Campaign and leveling. At one point, I think like Path of Exile 2 was kind of like the thing that people were looking for to help save kind of the campaign experience for PoE1. But obviously, it's a separate game now. So.
Yeah.
But you've done some nice improvements, like adding new things and doing a few little streamlinings of earlier acts. Is this something that you're still looking to continue, especially with the context of you're saying that you're like not really beholden to try and seek out new players now, so it might not be as important as it once was, but
I would argue it's more important.
Interesting.
Because those campaign changes are what helps it keep fresh for people who are replaying the game.
True.
It's actually it's way more important for the existing players. So yeah, it is something I do want to keep doing for sure.
Great.
Oh, nice.
I liked the adding things, like different things happening, different
Yeah,
zones.
dude, the campaign
and, you can
for
kind of
me
restructure some of the areas a little bit.
is always
and
fun
add a little
in
thing
Path
here
of
and
Exile
there.
1.
I like doing all that for sure. So yeah, I would expect to continue seeing things. I don't think we have anything particular in 3.27 for that, but it will, at some point we'll certainly be doing another set of things,
is always
and
fun.
We'll try and keep that up pretty consistently, if not on a patch by
Did they
patch
talk about
basis,
lab
it's
yet,
like,
man? I wonder if they're going to change up the lab
set of them and stuff like that, just to help it feel a bit fresh. I also like the things you just get to integrate like some other random league into the campaign somewhere in a few areas. It's like, oh, these areas are being overrun by X or something. It helps it feel a little bit cool, and the world is changing, and it's not just this static thing all of the time. So
yeah, I like the deeper integration of league mechanics into the campaign that you've been doing in PoE2 and to a lesser extent in PoE1. It's cool. That's good. It's a good way to introduce that stuff to people over time as well. Did you ever have like a crazy fever dream where you're like
using POB to test?
Having like
have you gotten used to POB a little bit yet? Learned a little bit about it.
Campaign? I know that's never been a.
That would be a bit of a tricky one to do, honestly.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure that has been something we've discussed for a very short amount of time, a long time ago. But
at the top right.
Really...
I've had some fever dreams about it, but
at the top right there is a pull-down screen where you can create loadouts.
Yeah, because I know
create couple loadouts. Name like the first loadout campaign or leveling. Do everything you want to do with your leveling person. And then on the next loadout can be your test after the campaign.
The answer is always, we'll make the campaign better.
Yeah.
But then I thought,
so when you switch loadouts, it switches the whole thing. Your tree, your skills, your
know about that one.
Your skill gems, all of this stuff, like your gear.
That's why
you don't want to give something.
That way you can, if you need to change things, you can change it with the loadout.
Will clearly be better, and then everyone will just do that.
You just make it really awful, and then they'll be like,
okay, cool. Yeah,
let's just make some terrible.
It makes things much easier to do with the loadouts.
Cool.
What is it? Incompetence.
And of course,
yes.
You can see on the left side if it gives you warnings.
And again, integrating
the warnings will be on the bottom of the left side. It will tell you like if you're missing something or if something isn't like making sense.
It is a thing in PoE2, and we're going to start doing it in PoE1. Every single area for Rise of the Abyssal has a guaranteed drop that drops from the chest.
Yeah, it's great.
And I don't know how many people actually know this. I know it's not a secret.
The racers know.
Yeah, and then I think for example, the Molten Vault in Act 3 has a guaranteed unique drop for the first time you do an Abyss there.
Yep.
And so you get to do that thing where you get to and I want to make sure we're going to do this system in PoE1, by the way, with Keepers of the Flame, where you get like a kind of extra handcrafted guaranteed drop that we pick.
Cool.
For each area in the campaign. So there's a little bit of like, what's it going to be in this area and this area? And so, it'll help, ideally, if we do our job right, not just be like, I'm going to skip every single area, get to endgame, and then care about it. Which is still a fine strategy, by the way. Go for it if you want. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you'll second guess some of it now, and you work out which areas you want to do. You know, I like that, but I want to make the active league feel more important in the campaign as well. So as much as we can do to strive towards having that be the case.
Okay, he says not to skip the breaches in the
I obviously
campaign
understand though that
because they're gonna drop something.
Insanely an accelerant
They're
player,
all gonna drop
you
something
don't need
useful,
it, right? You can just get to end game and then deal with it. You might not want to sink the time, but like a lot of people do want to engage with it. A lot of people want to play the new league in the campaign, and so you know we should take every motivation we can to try and make that happen, and that way the campaign can feel more enjoyable, not just be seen as a thing I need to get through, but there will always be a bit of that, and there's not really much you can do about it, so it's really the fight to keep it as feeling as fresh as possible and with heaps of stuff going on. But it's part of that is the motivation of why we do leagues in the first place, right? Like, you want to come back and have this new thing going on in the world. Imagine if you came back and there wasn't even a league. You know, imagine you came back and it's like, okay, there's some balance changes, but like, what else is going on? You know, so you know, like it even we
every time they do a reveal
in order for the campaign
Path
to
of
not
Exile,
feel the same every single
it
time.
reminds me how bad, how subpar Diablo is. Diablo 4 is compared to Path of Exile.
For sure.
Initial leveling experience.
Yeah, for sure, because it's just the same as before, except
Diablo
kinda,
just
honestly,
had an
maybe worse.
announcement talking about their tower system.
And then you really want to feel like the world is different, something's going
Just
on,
shake my
something
head.
you're engaging with you didn't before, and you know.
Anyway, I'm a campaign enjoyer. Sorry, I like it, but I got to rep the diverse opinions out there for that one. The
oh, for sure, it's commonly brought up. It's always worth discussing. 100%.
It's a classic.
We compromise on gold. We compromise on trade. You know, it's always good for people to ask.
I remember
what else
making
we
builds
like
for
and how
Diablo.
See where you guys have shifted.
Yeah, see where we are and what we, you know, like
I
nothing's set in
spend
stone forever.
4
maybe
hours
this one is, but we'll
on
see.
Diablo.
Maybe next Q&A.
A max level
We'll see.
in 4
A
hours.
question I saw that was interesting was
And then the
how
next
does
day,
GG track
I
bugs?
spent
What's
about
the
3
best way
hours.
to report them, and the kind of like
I'm like
the example
150
was like
Paragon.
they had a
level.
specific transfigured
And then I make
skill
the
gem, was like
build.
an ice golem that doesn't work
And
with
yeah,
support gems and hasn't since launch. So just kind of like stuff getting kind of lost.
About 8 hours.
Right?
Unfortunately,
season.
one of the realities of live service development is, okay, so if we're going to make a league by a certain deadline, like every time we're looking at each issue and being like, okay, is this more important than getting this league finished? And it's really, really hard to prioritize some of those things in some cases. Like, they should get attention eventually, but it's like, we have like, you know, I have no idea how many open issues there are in our bug tracker. It could easily be tens of thousands.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be. And like, this is one of those things where like,
games.
like we have this thing where it's like, okay, here's something that might affect 0.1% of players, and like, it's really, really hard to prioritize that over, like, you know, here's the new content that everyone's going to be playing. So people do get slack time where they can just kind of work on random things like that, but like, it can be hard to get some of them.
You might find something as simple as like, this skill doesn't get affected by support gems, could take 5 seconds and hasn't really been observed or prioritized. That is an option. Or it's going to take 5 weeks to implement some giant refactor, and honestly, we should have just deleted the skill and added 15 others. You know what I mean? Like, it's honestly kind of hard to know, and it's easy to go look at that single thing after this because you happen to bring it up, and like, we'll see what the problem really is. But yeah, sometimes the simplest things boil down to like, oh, we have to refactor this and this, and about how damage is dealt, and how, you know, something with conversion and dexterity, and, you know, not dexterity, and it boils down to this like giant refactor about how all this code works, and then it's like, now we can do this thing. Okay, what else did it get us? No, just kind of just that.
And you get issues stuck in this hell effectively of like, you know, someone like read it, they put it in the issue tracker, someone looked into it, they realized there was some annoying detail of it that would require some larger change, and then someone was like, oh well, we don't have time for that, we're doing some other thing, and then it kind of gets put into some like hell of like unversion this, like, you know, when we get time thing, and then it just kind of dies, and that's kind of an unfortunate situation that
I have several thousand assigned to me. in a version called unscheduled.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
You know, like one day there used to be this optimism of like one day I'll get there, and then I've accepted defeat.
But I mean, ultimately, obviously, we prioritize things based on how much the community cares about it. So if people do care a lot about it, then yeah, obviously we'll get some attention.
So to the point of the question, then, like, what can players do from their perspective for something that they think is important?
Generally, most of the media, like our community team, has a generally good eye on things that are more at the larger issues that get brought up. They do get noted down. They do generally get forwarded to us or the relevant people. For the fine detail bug reports, our QA team, it is part of their routine to go through the bug reports forums, and
the forum seems to be the most pertinent place.
That is part of the day-to-day routine of the QA team.
Yeah. So if you want to take like the time to actually document something that is like that you think maybe has been missed or doesn't have enough information or could get the bug report.
Hey, Dismal, do you know when the Borderlands update drops?
That's more about like terrain issues or like something that's like, oh, what the heck, this generated weird, or like, what the heck is this weird thing here? And it does give us a like recreate of the level, so we can come in and then like figure it out. But like slash bug going, a skill is broken, or like my skill can't be supported. Those two things are not correlated. So that's like if it's like broken and like if the level is bad or there's monsters in the level or something glitching out. Slash bug is a good way, and then there's a brief description. If you want to like report a skill or something like that, it's better on the forums for sure.
Okay. A couple popular requests. One was dual stash tab, and also kind of tangential to that was like more affinities. Is this something?
They said dual stash tab.
Okay, they added a free mini event.
Okay, had the squad one. You want to?
Legendaries.
It's too much.
Okay,
that is too small. Duels.
Right, I got it. Okay. Generally speaking, we wanted it to always be that like rollable equipment, things with modifiers don't get specific stash tabs. Like that's the stuff you have to deal with. That's the item management should be in that. But then I understand technically compromised on flasks and bits and pieces, and it's like a little bit of a
they
gray
did not
area.
nerf my aim and
like
build.
We so far have drawn the line kind of as just like, I mean, we've literally listed the rest of the stash tabs, and aside from adding new leagues and a whole bunch of new currency items here and there and stuff like that, it's been like, I don't know, I think that might be it. Like until we add new stuff that requires new affinities, like maybe something comes with this league. I think this league has a locker, so whatever. But then it's like, I don't know if we will ever really add them for the equipment. I don't want it to be that you literally can just control click. Well, people have their dump tabs and different methodologies of doing that stuff, but I don't want everything to just auto sort. People may disagree with me, and fair enough, you can. But that is ultimately how we want it to be, where it's like there is at least some items you're kind of looking at, like especially with mods. Like obviously with the currency, you know by the icon what it is. With an armor, you want to look at it, see what the mods are, and then make a decision.
Oh, wow, they buffed
a lot of
crap
people put
out
it in
of
the tab and then look at it later and make the decision. And I understand with the trade system
the
before,
Forge
what actually
Knight
people were doing
class
was just dumping
mod.
it, and then if they get spam for messages,
Blacksmith.
then looking at it.
You can
stuff like
you can
that.
probably
But,
make a
I do want to
forged
make sure
drone
that you actually are reading the
build,
modifiers,
like,
assessing if
viable
it's a good
now.
item, and then making decisions
I've
on
always
it. as
wanted to do
part of
that,
your
but
cycle.
they
And you can
seem
work around
so
it.
weak.
That's up to you. But yeah, the moment that everything is just like somewhere, and you're just like, all right, and do you even know what you got now? You know what I mean? Like, and you could argue, well, I can look at it and then control click it and it auto sort. But
Berserker Energy
I
Shield
think we
now
kind of drew
grants.
the line at equipment. And again, I suspect a lot of people are gonna be like, well, you should change that, and I'll be like, well, I don't want to, and we'll be at a disagreement there. And again, I'm all about having a healthy disagreement. I don't mind. So that might just be where it is, and I don't know. We can reevaluate in a couple Q&As from now. You know what I mean?
I think on the affinities tab, on the affinities side of things, chat's mentioning that there's like a few in Piri 1 that are kind of missing
UI
and stuff.
Oh no, they are missing. It is our intention to add this.
Okay, yeah.
For that, more like fungibles and stuff like that, like non-modified stuff, there is an intention to add that, yes. 100%.
Cool, nice. Good to know. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So that's probably the ones that
I mean, we did that in PoE too. We were always like, oh, we've got to release the stash tab, and then we did the whole like, wait, we can just add affinities without the tab. We can add the tab later if we want to. So we still need to go through PoE 1 and add some affinities that don't have stash tabs for sale or anything like that. So, yeah.
done some really good click-based quality of life. Less clicks, I'm always keen to see, like, for a lot of that stuff that's very spam clicky. Something that was asked was the idea of consolidating Harbinger shards in particular. Seems like it's pretty painful to farm for people that enjoy that, but, you know, can only do it for brief stretch.
Murmur legendary.
Saying there was something about that happening.
Assault rifle and Scully legendary order
it
grenade.
Came up when we initially were specing all the QOL changes
That's the
and
new,
like
brand
things that
new.
are just like easy wins and improvements. It came up. I just don't have 100% memory recall if we decided to do it like now. It might actually just be
they were adding the raid. I guess that's coming out later.
50-50. It might just be like already like. I think what we do is drop less of them, get rid of some of the bad ones, and drop more of the good ones, but like fewer overall stacks. Higher more in the stacks and less of the.
I use a forge run for my action
kind of
skill.
filtering out anyway. So hopefully we did that, and then it's in. If we haven't, then it's
I'm giving up with poison tendrils. I need fizz damage to scale the poison damage, so no good.
So this thing was like what? Yeah, we need 10 quality of life improvements for each update, right? It's like bare minimum.
Yeah.
I like this. It's been paying off. I think it's you get those nice little teasers, like pretty hype building in the lead up to it. I'm like, oh yes, give me that quality of life.
It's very important for a game again with so much replayability and people coming back and playing that you just start you remove a lot of this friction. You don't want to obviously make it frictionless.
There's got to be like an item.
Some of the fun comes from a little bit of friction here and there, and in some regards, but like
where
there's things where it's like
poison can scale off of spell damage.
This obviously doesn't need to be this way.
So the little things that erode your enjoyment over time.
There's
got to be an item.
Honestly, there's a little bit of a time factor to it. It's like the longer it's been in, the more like it's like, okay, at this point, come on now. We've added some other like friction and something in some other way here. We can take away from some of it over here. You don't want it to become a spreadsheet, for sure. But at the end of the day, you don't want it to just become, as we add more and more features, more and more content, it's going to. Everything will have their little thing, and it's going to become growingly more annoying over time. So it's important as you add some things that require, manual intervention, you start removing some of the other ones and streamlining them, and it's because the game is so replayed for so long. It's really, really, really important at this point that we are addressing as many things as we can per league to make sure that you don't just get a build up of annoyance over the course of a long period of time.
Yes, and my hands are very much thanking you as well for a lot of these changes. Oh,
yeah, good.
Sweet relief.
I mean, those ones are always a good win, but like some of them, like the Spectre thing and the heist thing. There's so many that are just like, I mean, they're not. Are they QOL? Yeah, kind of. I mean, they do improve quality of life to some regard, but it's honestly kind of balanced as well. It's just like it doesn't need to be this way anymore, so let's just change it.
I don't think I'm changing my plan at all.
We try to think of as many as possible.
From what I've been doing.
I love my bingo cards. I don't think I've
the only thing I'm going to be looking at now is what
cards through. I love the
addition ascendancy
they can be, look, if you
will
don't
I
have
take,
20, it doesn't have to be
and
a
how many
5x5
points
grid. You can
will
make
I
a
put
2x2
on the
bingo
new
card.
like
if you can't think of more than 4 things,
ascendancies to go with
just a single
the Inquisitor that I'm doing?
Like,
will I do 2 points in Inquisitor and 2 points in a new one, or just like 1 point in Inquisitor? I need 1 point in Inquisitor so I can get Battle Mage. That's the most important node.
Play and stuff, and we're just like, what annoys you the most?
See.
And then we try and come up with something. So it's good. I don't know. It's
getting the 4th lab is always hard too.
I think this time around we got some pretty good
4th
winners.
level or whatever. That's always hard to do. You have to do it in map.
Yeah, I mean that's the big and obvious thing.
And then of course you have to now kill the bosses to actually get the freaking new ascendancies.
For the chat today, I look forward to playing some more.
Oh man, that's going to take a long time to get to that point.
In 3.27.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again, and
here it is.
Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the game.
See you later, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That is it. What is this? Sure needs an update, bro. What? They already updated this thing? That was long as fuck. Hell yeah. Yo, what in the world? They updating this thing right now? 7 point They probably just they probably adding all the little supporter packs. Lord of the Rings long. Nah, dude. Lord of the Rings is like 4 hours, dog. Don't ever disrespect Lord of the Rings. But it is what it is. I think I'm gonna call it there for the stream too. I was gonna load up Path of Exile, but it seems like I can't until updates. So GG's. Thanks for everyone who watched, lurked, tuned in, did whatever they wanted to do. Good night, Ito. Sleep tight. Don't let the vampire bite. Dismal, I'll probably catch you later if you go online. Talk about the juicy patch notes. Adam, if you're around, GG's, bro. We'll talk later too. Madeline, thanks for joining in, lurking. YouTube chat, thanks for everyone who lurked in there. Thanks for the follows on Kick. Yeah, guys. Path of Exile 3.27 next Friday. Eastern time, I believe I guess it's 6 p.m., which is insane. It seems like it's very late, but they usually release things around like what, 2, 3, 4-ish, but 6 p.m., that's crazy. Oh well, I'll be on it. If you guys are catching this as a YouTube VOD, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, catch me on Twitch and Kick as well. Everything is LugoHQ. Catch me on TikTok with my clips, LugoHQ as well. Don't forget to become a member on YouTube. Become a Super Saiyan member. And yeah, we shall see what the patch notes bring. I'm out of here. Bye.